You can actually pop around and, oh, hold on. There's a big blue going live button. Why is it requiring me to? Okay, now we should be live.
Let me check.
Give it 20 seconds, maybe. There's a little delay. Oh, nope, we're live.
We did it.
Jeez.
High five.
Never mind, Jacob.
Sorry, everybody. That was only a 4-minute delay, but we are going. We are live.
Thank you for waiting.
Those of you that are watching on YouTube, press the little subscribe button because that would help us. We're trying to grow this YouTube account.
We're trying our best. Hey, we got the high five on camera. Cool. We look decent with the yay, Julie. Yes, we're here. And all good. If you got to bounce out early, that's the beauty of these open office hour calls. Take it as you wish, but we're doing something different. I don't know if you said this, but with the whole YouTube streaming, we're trying to expose the PodHacker brand to more folks, outside of just the members. So what's really cool. What's up, Bray? Okay. So we have some members over there on YouTube as well. So this is cool. I like it. So pick the platform of your choice. Just know that the Zoom platform, if you're inside of here using the link that we send out, that's where you're going to interact probably a little easier.
Yeah. I mean, we'll kind of keep an eye over on the YouTube chat a little bit as well. But for the most part, we want to interact with the people that are actually hanging out on Zoom with us that are able to ask us questions in real time. There is a delay on YouTube. But cool. We're streaming. Let's
doing it.
Get back into the housekeeping.
Yay. Housekeeping is so fun, man.
Housekeeping.
Let's do housekeeping.
I don't know why do people use the term housekeeping?
Let's make a new term. What term should we use, y'all? What do you think? Podkeeping? That's lame. No. Vacuuming?
Yeah, we'll come up with it later.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves. Let us know what a good rebranding of the term housekeeping is.
And then we'll dub you as the creator of that new said term, and it'll be fabulous. Administrative tasks.
All right.
That's a beautiful. Yes.
So we're gonna go ahead and do some administrative tasks right now.
It's very enlightening. All right. Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Yeah. So our next live stream is going to be on July 13th. It's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific with Molly Mahoney. We're going to be talking about live streams, which, in retrospect, we probably should have had that session before this one, so we could learn to do what the hell we're trying to do right now.
I think it's probably best on our reputation with her, that is, not with everyone else because it's already lost on you. But with Molly, I mean, yeah, we can't do Zoom. We cannot use Zoom for live streaming. She would slap us virtually. So we're going to figure out a new solution, but we still want to have it nice and interactive for the members of PodHacker, of course.
Yeah, I would
figure out something.
If I had to guess, I would say this will be our last live stream using Zoom. There will be a better solution after this one, most likely Ecamm Live. But if you guys have suggestions on what's working well for streaming, well, we're going to ask Molly also. So.
There's a lot of options these days. Yeah. So what are some of the things? So for the administrative tasks.
Yes, administrative tasks. So July 13th, mark your calendar, 10 a.m. Pacific. We're going to have Molly Mahoney. I don't know the August expert session date yet, but I don't know the guest. So in August, we're going to have Lisa Beyer, who is a PR specialist. She's going to talk to us about how to get in the media, get your podcast in the media, that kind
all sorts of stuff. She's like just a wizard at PR, and it's kind of like it's not the typical boring PR that not press releases, push those out and hope something happens. So
so we'll get the August date soon. It's whatever the second Tuesday in August is. So
and September, I was looking at this. I've been chatting with Jamar John Johnson. We had him on the podcast. He's a super connector. He's likely going to be September. We'll talk about that, but that date actually falls on TNC for us. So we'll probably have to rearrange that date.
Or we live stream from TNC.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll figure that out closer to the date.
Traffic and conversion, if you're not aware, you should come.
But yeah,
it's in San Diego.
But we do know July. We do know August. July, we have Molly Mahoney joining us. August, we've got Lisa Beyer. So those should be some good ones.
We have some in the chat here, some folks talking about live streaming. I just wanted to see if there's anything. Oh, I have a mouse here. I could scroll up. Who is that? Cloud Rainmaker. Yeah, live streaming. Be Live. That's actually what Molly's all about.
Yeah, we've used Be Live in the past. We've used StreamYard, which was good. We've
Ecamm Live, you said.
Ecamm Live is probably the one we're going to be playing with next.
Yeah.
I know there's like OBS out there, but OBS is probably more complicated than we're willing to learn.
We're looking for simplicity here, y'all. Cool. What else?
So these PodHacker sessions, you might notice we're doing something different. We're streaming to YouTube finally.
Hi, YouTube.
So we are doing something different. Here's the way this is kind of working from here on out. is the second Tuesday of every month, we're going to be doing our expert session where we have these guests come in. And then the fourth Tuesday of every month, we're going to be doing these office hours. We're actually rebranding them to PodHacker Live instead of office hours because it just kind of sounds cooler. Or we might rebrand it to PodHacker Administrative Tasks.
I like that more. Yeah, and cloud.
PATS, PodHacker Administrative Task Sessions.
It rolls right off the tongue.
They're our PATs.
Okay. These are our PATs. So
Yeah.
you're on the PAT call now.
So you're on our PAT call. So every fourth Tuesday, we're going to be doing these open office hours, but these open office hours are going to be live on YouTube. So people can watch them whether they're PodHacker members or not. But only PodHacker members are able to ask questions. So PodHacker customers get to interact with us live, ask your questions. If you're going to the PodHacker training, ask us, any questions that might pop up about it. Only PodHacker customers are able to interact during these calls, but they are being streamed to YouTube so more people can see the content. And the expert sessions that are the second Tuesday of every month are only for PodHacker customers.
We're doing guns,
double guns, quadruple guns,
swinging the guns today. I was going to say there are a couple ways. So if you don't know what PodHacker is, if you're on YouTube and you're just seeing who the hell are these two guys, or maybe you're from Hustle and Flowchart, you're on the channel and you're like, what's PodHacker? We have PodHacker News, which we'll get into. That's a way to kind of deep dive, join this little weekly mailing that we send out around similar stuff we're about to talk about here. And then also, of course, you can join PodHacker. We have a waiting list. We occasionally open those up. If you just go to podhacker.com, you can join that and check it all out there.
Yes.
PodHacker News. We should talk about that a little bit because that's now kind of what we're in our second or third week. I think third.
I think it was our third week. I think yesterday was our third PodHacker News email.
Yeah.
And
it was a goodie, man. We'll cover a bunch of stuff here, of course, because we'll put our opinions in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so podhackernews.com. No, that is the wrong URL.
It's podhacker.com/news.
That's it. Go there and you can go join that thing. See what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So what that is every week. So there's a lot of email services out there for podcasters that kind of give you all the latest news and what's going on in the podcast world. Most of those emails are daily newsletters that have, 12 to 15 news articles in them every single day. So by the end of the week, you're trying to sift through like 70 different news articles and figure out what's relevant and what's important to you. PodHacker News is just one email a week, comes to you every Monday. And we looked through those 70 news articles and narrowed it down to like, here's the 5 or 6 you should be paying attention to right now that'll probably impact you. So we're just taking all of the information, all the news, all the tips, all the tactics, all this stuff that's floating around in the podcast universe that's coming out every single day and just narrowing it down to, okay, this is the 80-20 of what you should be paying attention to right now. So that's PodHacker News. You can get that at podhacker.com/news. Nice. Cloud is asking, is there a difference with this type of show and the therapy session? Yes, this is not actually a podcast. This is a live stream to our YouTube channel, and it is an interactive session for PodHacker customers.
Yeah.
Therapy sessions are all pre-recorded, although we have talked about doing some of them live well. So we might do that.
It depends on how we're feeling. Yeah. But this is not a podcast episode, even though it might kind of feel like one. Because we never know where this is going to go, really. We have an agenda.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're content creators, so we like to get on the mic and talk to people, talk to not people. I mean,
talk to not people.
Joe.
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm AI. I'm just a computer.
Yeah. So
great.
I talked to JoeBot.
JoeBot.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that. I haven't heard that one yet. That's nice.
So, I mean, it's what we do, right? We like to get on the mic and talk about what's going on in our world, what's going on in other people's worlds. And some of that content goes to PodHacker and some of it goes to the podcast.
What's exciting in y'all's world? I want to hear from you guys in the chat, wherever you're at. So let us know what you're thinking about, especially in the podcast game or maybe on the YouTube game or something. Give us some ideas, just some random things that are percolating, and maybe we can riff on those. And, if there's something that you're struggling with, something you're focusing on, we can try and tailor some of these news articles or maybe some of our thoughts around these things for you. It would only benefit you. So yeah, throw it in the chat wherever you're at, and we'll keep an eye on it. We got our team around here. Sue and Jacob, what up? You're always around here. We got to give you love.
Yes.
And likely, we got to shout out if you're in PodHacker and not on Facebook, go get in that group. It's podhacker.com/group. That'll get you over there. If you are not a member of PodHacker, we will politely decline you unless you have joined, because that's our premium paid group there where we're always chatting about cool stuff. So keep the conversation going on there. What else do we have? I'm kind of
as far as the administrative tasks, I
Yes.
think that's pretty much it. We've talked about what
Sweet.
guest experts are coming up. We talked about our next date. We talked about how these office hours are going to work going forward. We talked about PodHacker news. That's my administrative tasks
Dang,
list.
look at that.
We're good.
We're like a third of the way through. No, we're not.
We're not even close.
Well, we've been doing some cool stuff. Matt's been burning everything off in the desert lately. You just came back from Palm Springs. You look confused, but you told me it was like 120.
It was
billion
123 degrees. It broke the record for heat.
That's
for temperature in
why.
Palm Springs while I was out there.
Why that hot? It should not be that hot there. Or anyway.
I don't make the rules.
No?
No.
I thought you did.
I don't. I did not.
Was it worth it?
Yes-ish.
Tell me more.
It was just hot. It was really hot.
What do you do? What do you do in that kind of heat? Do you just
get in the water,
cry?
And when you're not in the water, you get in your hotel room and stay in the AC. That's pretty much what you do in that kind
That's
of.
That's what you do at your own house.
Yeah, but it's not
Not that hot,
123 degrees in my
Thank God.
house.
Thank God. Yes. Cool. Well, that's nice.
It was pretty much like what you would expect. We were in the pool all day long, and then in the evening we were in our hotel room, watching movies with the AC cranked.
That's cool then. Being lazy.
Yeah.
We don't want to do much in the heat, but it beats the snow.
Yeah. So that was
because we know all about the snow.
Oh, and happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. And to all the fathers listening.
Yes.
Happy belated.
Yeah.
How was yours?
It was good.
Yeah.
I was
exactly what you did.
In a pool, probably with a beer. And then when I wasn't in the pool, I was in the AC.
I like it.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of steaks 2 days in a row, tomahawk steaks. It was fabulous. I want to get myself a Traeger now. Little barbecue thing. I mean, maybe we can get a sponsorship first.
Yeah.
We'll let's ask our buddy Joe Rogan and see if he can share that sponsorship occasionally. What up, Zamian? Zamora?
Did you just call him Zamian?
What up, Damien?
Headed to San Diego in 2 weeks. Let's meet up.
Holla.
Let's do it.
Hopefully, Mexico is treating you right.
Actually,
good to see you.
No, that's not. That timing doesn't work out. I was going to say maybe he's going to be over at Rob Burns in a couple of weeks, but
a couple of weeks. That's this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. So that's not in 2 weeks though.
Negative.
All righty.
All right. What's new with us, Matt? I don't want to talk all about us, but I'm not seeing a lot of comments from people talking about what's happening with them. So throw it in the chat again. What are you working on? But we'll tell you what we're working on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're still kind of working on putting together this office that we're in, making it better. Our latest upgrade is we've got a M1 Mac Mini on our desk, which is
so
nice,
damn cool
because it's dead silent. There's literally, there's fans in it, but the fans are so quiet you can't hear them.
All right, we got to talk about the Mac Mini, because I think not enough people know about this for like a cool podcast setup. I'm gonna pull up stuff on my screen. Keep talking about your setup here.
Yeah, so we've got this M1 Mac Mini. It's silent. The thing was $700, which is insanely cheap for a computer. I mean, an Apple computer, no less.
Not even a freaking phones are basically like this much now.
Yeah,
it's a whole blown computer.
It's a crazy fast, crazy quiet computer that we just have on the desk. And when we're recording podcasts, I don't even have a laptop in front of me anymore, because it's just nice to have like open desk and screen. And
here, we'll show some screenage now. I'll plug this on here. But yeah, talk about this, Matt. Oh, what? Look at this. You can even get it for $5.99 now. It's Prime Day, y'all.
Gosh dang it. We ordered it a week too early.
I want to get another one. No, legit. Like, these things are so damn cool. The M1 specifically, no fans in there. It's blazing fast.
I didn't know Amazon Apple ever even discounted their stuff.
I did not as well. Hopefully it's legit. I'm assuming it is if it's on this website, Apple Insider. They're pretty legit.
I'm gonna go order another one.
Seriously. No, like, y'all get this. Get it. It's freaking rad. So what are the things? Let's see here. The things you should know about this. You need to get a keyboard and a mouse.
Yep.
And a monitor, of course, because you just get this box.
It literally is just the box and a power cord, and that is all that's in the box.
But that's okay.
Yeah. So you do need a keyboard, you do need a mouse, you do need a monitor, you do need a webcam, you do need, all of that kind of stuff.
Look at this. It's not too late to save $120 on a Mac. This is dirt cheap. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
I'm not even joking. I am going to go get a second.
I know. I had no clue this was a thing right now.
But yeah, no, it's a great computer. But the part of the problem that we were having is we were using our laptops when we were recording, And we would have to, at the end of the day, export the files onto one of our laptops. And then the files would need to get synced to Dropbox so that Jacob, our editor, can get access to them. And so somebody had to like basically wait here at the office while the export happened, while the Dropbox sync happened.
Yeah, it sucked.
And it was kind of a pain in the butt. So we wanted to get a computer dedicated to the studio that wasn't a laptop, that we didn't have to bring back and forth all the time. So we got this M1 Mac Mini because it was only, was it $600 when we bought it?
It was like $700.
Yeah, $700 when
then
we
get
bought
the
it.
upgrade. We like got a little bit of
No, this is the most stripped down basic.
Oh, you didn't get the big hard drive in there.
No.
Don't need it. I guess for Dropbox.
We're just going to get everything stinks to the cloud in Dropbox, and we'll probably get an external solid state at some point.
So let's talk about the ports, because I think it's a pretty common question. Like, it's like you don't have a lot, but you got enough.
Yeah, you probably will need like a USB dock to add more to it. But we have a Magic Mouse here, which is Bluetooth, so no, it doesn't use USB. We've got a Magic Keyboard here, which is Bluetooth, so it doesn't use a USB. And so all that's plugged into our USBs right now is we've got our Sony camera going through a cam link, and then we've got our Rodecaster Pro, and that's what the two USB slots are being used for. The HDMI slot is what we've got hooked up to our monitor. We're actually not using either of the Thunderbolts at the moment, but you can use those to hook up to another monitor, or other peripherals will hook up to it. And then we are plugged in through Ethernet, so we're direct wired in, and that's the whole setup.
It's sweet. I mean, I bought myself an M1 MacBook Air as well. So that's sitting over here. That's what I'm doing this stuff on right now. But I love the fact that there's no fan. There's not a single sound happening. I mean, you got an older MacBook there. It's not kicking on the fan now.
Yeah, well, because I'm not streaming through
either.
Zoom this time. Normally, I'm trying to Zoom. We're trying to Zoom in with my MacBook, and the fan just cranks up when we're on a Zoom live stream.
Just that alone sold me. But then the fact that everything is just so fast,
and now I can like start an export and literally walk away. I don't have to like leave my laptop here overnight while it exports or syncs to Dropbox and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So what we do is we have everything synced up with Dropbox. So when we're doing our exports from the Rodecaster Pro here on our table, that basically syncs up, or will export straight to Dropbox for us. So we can, there's some features in Rode that are still kind of annoying. Like you can't just do a mass export of everything and just walk away and then sync to Dropbox. Like that in a perfect world is what we want to get done. If y'all have any solutions, if you have any knowledge on better workflows, then 100% let us know. But that's kind of where we're at right now. It's nice. It makes it easy for Jacob and anyone else on our team to grab our files. So
let's see. So Julie was asking, can I use to record videos on there too? Well, the hard drive, she asked how big is the hard drive. Well, the hard drive, you can get it in different sizes. I think the one we have is 256 gigs.
Yeah. So you have the base is 256.
Yeah. So we just got the base model, the 8 gigabytes of memory, because all we're doing with it, literally all we're doing with it is like recording and doing these streams. There's like pretty much no other processes. We'll probably put some editing software on there, like ScreenFlow and maybe Adobe Premiere. But other than those handful of things, that's all we're doing with it. But it's perfect for recording videos, because like the render times when you're like exporting videos is so much faster. You probably will want an external hard drive if you're doing a lot of video stuff. One thing that's really cool, and I guess it's been around for a while, but I just fairly recently discovered it. Joe's known about it for a while, so he'll probably be like idiot. But the Dropbox, they've got the Smart Sync thing. So it basically looks like the files are on your computer, and all of your file systems and storage and Dropbox folders and stuff all look normal on your computer, but the files don't actually live on your computer.
Dude, it's the best.
And so like on our Mac Mini, there's almost like nothing on the hard drive other than the software, because we export everything straight to the cloud.
Yeah, it's called, I think it's Smart Sync.
Yeah, Smart Sync.
Yeah, my Dropbox app's funking out right now. But yeah, it's super cool because on this new laptop I have, I didn't go for a bigger hard drive or anything. I think I went for a little bit of an upgrade, but just enough where I didn't have to worry about things. But you don't really have to, especially if you have that Smart Sync on, and then you just grab whatever file you need, view it. You don't need to download it. It's nice.
In my opinion, I wouldn't worry too much about the hard drive space, because hard drive space is easily upgradable, right? Like you can get an external hard drive for pretty cheap. If you want to do the upgrade right out of the box, I'd go more of the RAM upgrade, because I don't believe that you could swap out the RAM later. I think what you get is what you get. So if you think in the future you're going to want more RAM, upgrade that portion of it. But the hard drive is so easy to expand upon in the future.
And the one thing, actually, I didn't research the memory of these Mac Minis, but when it came to my MacBook Air, which I've been loving, is I didn't upgrade the RAM at all. Like I was reading, I think it's 16 megabytes for the MacBook Air. And I was reading all these different reviews and forums on Reddit and stuff. And people were just like, dude, I have all these external displays. I'm running YouTube 4K videos and editing things on the side. And there's like no slowing on a MacBook Air. That's just like base model.
Yeah.
So that's what I grabbed. And it was cheap. Again, it's probably cheaper now on Mac on freaking Prime Day.
Yeah.
I didn't know that would be a thing for Apple products, but
I mean, just look for the M1 chip. The M1 chip is Apple's latest
awesome
technology, and that's what makes everything so much faster. Is that M1 chip?
Yeah. All right.
Let's see what do we got here? We got a big comment. I just got a lifetime deal. Oh, where'd it go? I just got a lifetime deal to a podcast product called Bcast. I listened to your PodHacker segment about sponsorships, and then remember that the creator of Bcast, that it allows for real-time dynamic sponsorship shout-outs, meaning that I could go back to archive podcast episodes at any time, replace the original shout-out with a new current shout-out. I know it's cool. By the way, Bcast was created specifically for podcasting marketers, so all kinds of marketing growth related features. Yeah, Bcast seems really cool. We've talked to the founders in the past, and I've actually discussed doing deals with them in the past that never totally panned out. But it does seem like Bcast is really focused on the podcaster who's also trying to be a marketer.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that blend. Another one is Captivate.fm. I would say those two are like the ones geared towards marketers. But yeah, Bcast is, I think it's a little less on the scene, yet, but so they're giving out some pretty sweet deals.
Yeah. When it comes to the dynamic ad insertion,
that's probably what he's talking about there.
Almost every platform is starting to add that in now. So like, for the most part, I think like most of your hosting platforms are going to do it. I think some of the more basic ones like Buzzsprout and there's a handful that are kind of like smaller, simpler, designed to just be really, really simple that I don't know if they do it yet. But I mean, Libsyn, and you can do that with Anchor already. Yeah. I feel like most hosting companies either have it or it's something that will be in there pretty soon.
That's the thing with these hosting companies. They're so similar, but there might be like a feature or two that are, free transcriptions. Yeah, that was up there. I mean, yeah, like this one, you could tell they're like, hey, have a website because there's extra SEO juice. Like, come on, that's a marketer thing right there. Yeah. Same with like a custom domain. I mean, this is cool. The, guest notifications, the fact that you don't really have to email folks individually when something goes live.
Yeah.
Which is very smart, published to YouTube. So, I mean, like, yeah, I guess if you're ever looking for any kind of hosting, just get really clear on the feature set that you want.
Yeah.
And you can always move podcasts around. It is kind of a pain in the ass from what we understand. We've actually never moved ours.
Yeah. We've been on Libsyn since 2010.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I've played around with Anchor in the past, but and Anchor, actually, you can do dynamic ad insertion. I actually think, a lot of people seem to complain about Anchor, but I actually think Anchor is a pretty damn good starting place for a podcast.
We'll talk about that really quick. Like, what do you...
Well, one of the things Anchor just did, and some people see this as like a feature. Some people see this as like they took something away, right? So Anchor, they used to do this. They used to submit everywhere for you. So when you sign up for Anchor and you create a podcast and you record your first episode, they submit it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all the places you'd listen to podcasts. They were doing the submission for you. Now, recently, they just made an announcement that they're no longer going to do those submissions for you except to Spotify. So when you sign up for Anchor and you publish your first podcast, it's going to, the RSS feed is automatically going to go to Spotify because Anchor is owned by Spotify.
Right.
But they're not going to automatically submit your RSS feed to Apple and Stitcher and all these other places on your behalf.
But you could still do it manually.
You can still do it manually. Now, before, you didn't even have access to your RSS feed. Right. So like before, they would just submit their RSS feed to all of these places and you never actually saw your RSS feed. So if you ever left Anchor, the RSS feed stayed with Anchor and you couldn't transfer away if you wanted to. Right.
Okay.
So now that they actually give you the RSS feed and you submit it yourself, it's actually easier to move off of Anchor later. And so that could potentially be a benefit, is that you now have access to that RSS feed.
Yeah.
Now, the sort of pessimistic side of it is you could see it as like, well, that's just Anchor going, okay, well, if you're going to put it on our platform, we're going to submit it to Spotify because we own Spotify, and screw Apple. Right. So like, it's probably a little bit of both, right? It does make your life a little bit easier, and that you have a little more control over the RSS feed and where that RSS feed is pointing, and who's able to see it. But also at the same time, it is kind of Spotify saying, giving the middle finger to Apple a little bit and saying, look, all the new content we're creating, we're just going to make sure it goes to Spotify first.
For sure. I mean, they're always going to push that direction first, and there's analytics, which, maybe because you're on Anchor, you're going to get more data from at least the Spotify side of things, because it's integrated that way.
Yeah. I think the one thing I noticed about
you're going to get though.
The one thing I noticed about Anchor when I was playing around with it was you got to use your own like recording equipment, because Anchor has a built-in like platform where you could just press record inside of Anchor and start talking and recording. And I tested it using our good mic, our good Rodecaster, all of the good equipment that we have. And when you use Anchor's recorder, they like compressed it so much and the audio quality was so crappy. But if you record it yourself into like a WAV file and then export it from your mixing board and then upload it to Anchor, they don't do any of the crazy compression and stuff. It's only if you use their built-in recorder. Now, this was like 9 months ago that I tested this. They may have improved it since then, but last time I tried it, their recorder was crap. Like it did not maintain good audio quality.
So maybe the best idea is, if you're thinking about this, start it with a test podcast and kind of get the bugs worked out, maybe in your workflow, and see what the quality's like that way.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here?
Got some questions. Hakeem.
Let's see. Just going through PodHacker, and it's awesome. Already learned so much. Just wondering on podcast length. I release every 2 weeks at the moment, and I generally do 1 hour with guests. However, I've started also dropping a few business bites, which is basically 10 minutes of me just giving my thought on a particular topic. Is it okay to mix it up, or would you just stick with one format? I mean, we mix it up.
Yeah, I like it. This is, it's similar to kind of, I don't know. You have a progression as you start experimenting more with your shows. So the fact that you're doing that much of a length, like with guests, like an hour long, I think that's cool. Those, we always like the longer versions. It's more content. It kind of has you separate from the pack a bit, but yeah, I think it's smart to mix in some business bites, because we experiment with some of those.
Well, Roland Frazier does that really well too. He does 2 episodes
right?
a week, but 1 episode a week is an interview. 1 episode is a snackable. Although I think even those guys are shifting to where they're doing less guests.
Well, yeah, he's now with Ryan Dice and his. So I think it's every Tuesday. It's like that.
Yeah,
they might still have some snackable things, but yeah, they're like little 5 to 10 minute clips from either his podcast, where it sounds like he's kind of preparing it in advance, which is nice because it's like very in depth, or it's like a repurposed thing from like a speech that he did or something.
Yeah,
rolling. But I think it's smart, especially if it's like business bites from your perspective. People want to know more about the host themselves. So at least from our experience, that's why we've gone from pure guests to sprinkling in these things we call therapy sessions, which are solo episodes. We're doing those once a month.
Well, and we also tack on our own outro to every episode now too. Right. So it's like, even when we do have guests on, we'll still tack on another like 15 minutes of us discussing that guest. And here's our takeaways. And, sometimes we talk for 15 minutes about what we just talked with our guest about. Sometimes we talk for 15 minutes about something completely unrelated, but
typically it's off the wall. Like, I don't know where the hell it's going.
I mean, what we've sort of found is like over time, people enjoy the guest episodes, but we have found that people comment more when we don't have guests. People seem to really like hearing more about what we're up to, what we're experimenting with, some of the behind the scenes of what we're doing. So there has been this sort of transition where we were doing 2 interviews every single week to we're doing 2 interviews every single week, but at the end of every interview, we're doing our own sort of tacked on therapy session. And then 1 episode a month was a full on therapy session.
We just like the sound of our voices.
And now we've shifted to where starting in July, 1 episode every week has no guest, and 1 episode every week will have a guest. So it's kind of like we're actually sort of phasing the guests out a little bit over time, but
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's another experiment. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think the thing with the podcast, and this is again our perspective, but you see it from everyone in some ways, just be flexible with it. It's not like you have to have this like set in stone thing that's always got to be the same forever.
Yeah.
I brought this up in the past, but some people were asking us about like how we've shifted our show over the years, and if we have, you know, I'm like, oh, dude, we shift it like almost every single time. Like we're always trying to improve it and experiment. And some of the feedback was like, wait, what? You could do that? Like, of course, it's your show.
Yeah.
But obviously get feedback. I mean, our experiments usually come from listener feedback first, and then also what our interests are. You know, like if we're not getting lit up about our show as much, which kind of has been the case for some of the guests we bring on, but that was our own doing, you know, is just not being interested in like a topic or getting super tactical. We're like, all right, we've kind of moved past this a little bit with our own, you know, interests.
Yeah, I think there has to be a balance of keeping it exciting for you, but also creating value for the listener. And we've sort of had this back and forth kind of thing over the years of when we first started our podcast, we started for very selfish reasons, self-admitted. Like we admit that like when we started the podcast, we started it because we wanted to connect with more people. We wanted to essentially get free brain pickings from people.
We
wanted to connect. We wanted to basically get like help on things that we needed help within our business. We wanted to learn new tactics that we weren't aware of yet. You know, that was it started for selfish reasons, right? And then over time, we started to realize, okay, it needs to be more of a blend between what we want to get out of it and what our guests or what our audience needs out of it. And then now, even more recently, it's kind of shifted to more like 80-20, like 80% focusing on what's going to provide the most value for our listeners and 20% like what we're going to get out of it. Yeah. And so we've really, really kind of shifted from a very us focused podcast of like, hey, let's get what we want out of this. And if we're getting what we want, it will benefit others, to how do we make sure we're getting what our listeners want out of this show? And I feel like that's kind of been a scale that we've been tipping back and forth constantly. And
for sure,
lately we've been much more on the like, how do we make this as valuable as possible for the listener?
I think this goes back to our minds. So it was interesting. Remember like a few months back, maybe at the beginning of the year, you and I came to this realization individually, but then came together and we're like, oh yeah, I had this thought. Oh, I had this thought. Wait, what? You had the same thought? And it was this whole, like, we are curators. Remember? Like a hot tub session. That's our brainstorming set. Come on, got it.
It sounds funny though.
Yeah, I know, the hot tub sesh. But we both had this realization eventually. It's like, we are the curators of content from anyone who's listening to us. I mean, the reason whatever value they're getting or not value is because of us and our doing, and the people that we vet out and who are our guests, or even the solo shows that we're talking about. So I would say putting the brain power in that part of your part of the whole podcast, system that you have for you listening, you are the curator of content. Anytime you're bringing a guest on, or if you're bringing your own perspectives around a topic, you're the curator of that content. You might be the creator, I guess, if it's like a new topic or whatever, but I don't know. It's like, there's this ripple effect that we all have the power to be the best curators of whatever the topic and format that you choose. But yeah, having the listeners in mind, but also still having your own balance and interests in there, because that's going to come out to your listeners and make that value even more for folks. So having that curator mindset, I think it was kind of like a nice mental shift for us.
Yeah. And I think we go into every episode too going, okay, if somebody was to listen to this, what is the like one thing that they're going to take away? What is the main value proposition of this episode? Whether it's a guest or whether there's no guest, we want like at least like some sort of theme. We want some sort of like, okay, when somebody listens to this episode, they will know how to go set up a Facebook ad by the end of the day that is, that should ROI after some tests, right? Like we always want to be able to take an episode and narrow it down into like one sentence of like, if you listen to this episode, here's what you'll get. And I don't think that matters if you have a guest on or no guest on. Just think about what is the value somebody's going to get by the end of this episode. And I think that's how we've sort of shifted our focus, is like, we need to figure out how to, and we do this before we do the interviews. Now we do a bunch of research on the guests. We take a bunch of notes, we look into their background and go, based on everything they've talked about on other shows, based on everything we haven't heard them talk about on other shows, what's the thing that's going to be unique to our show that's going to provide a ton of value for our audience? Let's make sure that we hone in on that one thing for at least like half the episode.
I dig it. Yeah. I don't know how we got there, but that was a good little rant.
Yeah, I mean, it was all about short episodes versus longer episodes with guests, and yeah. So
yeah,
what do you say here? Just going through PodHacker, and it's awesome. Already learned. So, oh wait,
you already read that. That's what we were answering.
Yeah, okay.
good statement or question there.
So yeah, this is the one I wanted here.
So Rainmaker.
All right. Another piece of equipment folks may want to know about is called the Zoom PodTrack P4. And it's amazing, $200, and it records 4 channels, each separately, and 2 of the 4 channels will record from the phone, Zoom, Skype, etc. Check it out.
I'm pulling that up.
There's nothing
Jamie.
else quite like it. Yeah, pull that shit up, Jamie. Yes, right, so PodTrack. Yeah, we actually have a Zoom H4.
Right, but this looks. I have not heard of this though. The PodTrack P4.
Yeah, before we got our Rodecaster, we got the Zoom H4, which I think is like a precursor to this one.
Yeah, that's like 5+ years old now, I think, right?
Oh, at least.
Yeah. Or no, even way more than that, because you were recording some freaking movies back in the day. Remember with our friend Cameron?
Well,
you were like the sound guy.
I was using Cameron's Zoom when I used to be the boom operator,
but that's the same device.
It's the same device. Yeah, so I was using that back in 2007.
Yeah, so like that. It's been around. Yeah, what's this all about? Let's just obviously we're not gonna have audio here, but let's see. This guy's walking up. I mean, this is some cool visuals. We can talk over it. Just trying to make this interactive for y'all. Let's see. Super portable, easy, uber flexible. Hey, we could do the voiceover on this, Matt.
Yeah.
Is this allowed on YouTube?
Levy Osborne hosts the Ambience podcast.
Levy Osborne talks about. He uses a PodTrack P4 and it looks cool.
Is it? Ooh, so are you asking if we're allowed to promote this company?
I think they'll like it. We demand money. No, so okay. Well, this looks nice. So
yeah, it's cool. It's like the newer version of the Zoom. I guess we use a Rodecaster. So if you have a Rodecaster, this is kind of like maybe a stripped down version of the Rodecaster, kind of
something to be mobile, which is cool because we've thought about like having a mobile studio. I guess the Zoom kind of does the trick, but I don't know. Maybe there's some better features here that makes it even easier. Sound pads. Oh, that's actually interesting. Oh, nice. Yeah, so it is kind of like a little mini Rode almost.
Sweet.
I like it. All right, let's give it live stream. What? Cool B-roll. I like it.
Very nice.
Good suggestion. Thank you, Cloud. Did I call you Cloud? Is that your first name? I like it. All right.
Nice.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So moving on. So we're kind of on the here's some of the stuff we've been doing lately, right? Another thing that we've started doing with our show again is we started accepting sponsors. We actually had a pretty good, Easy Webinar has been a sponsor almost since the beginning. So shout out to Easy Webinar. They're awesome. They've been a silver level sponsor, meaning a post-roll sponsor for quite a while, but we stopped doing pre-roll sponsorships for a little while. I think, I don't know, kind of focus on the format of the show and figure out the flow and, get things dialed in again.
We had a hard look also at our business. Remember, we were just looking at like kind of where are the gaps and where are the places that we can essentially just elevate what we're doing more so without a lot of effort. And sponsorships were just something we've always we just kind of put on pause for like the last, 6-ish months or so. And yeah, we decided like, you know what, let's do a little push. Let's allow a couple sponsors for the gold sponsors, which are our pre-roll sponsorship option. We have the silver, which is Easy Webinar, like you said. And yeah, we're chatting with 3 companies now. And it's really weird actually, because after we made that decision in our mind, that's when we had 2 people reach out, or 2 different companies to sponsor. It was a little quiet beforehand, but there's always different ways to, I don't know, get a sponsor kind of interested in your podcast. So I've never done the outreach thing, but it was kind of cool when Matt and I decided, we're like, oh, then we got approached with a couple sponsor opportunities. One is Vidyard, which is pretty cool. That will be, it's kind of like a Loom alternative. So that'll be going live pretty soon, but definitely in PodHacker in the course itself, check out the sponsorship section if you have not, because we're still using it. It works great. Like, so this new sponsorship we had came through a big agency, a podcast sponsorship agency. They're typically the CPM route, and they have, kind of their ways. They obviously do this as their main business, but we do not do the CPM route for how we charge for our ads. We have a flat rate. So inside PodHacker, you can get the whole breakdown of how we price that out, the agreements we use, all that stuff. And that's exactly what we used again just yesterday to close that deal. So it's still alive and well. Works great.
Yep.
And you'll hear more coming, I'm sure.
Yeah. So if you're not in PodHacker, podhacker.com, go get PodHacker.
Do it.
Get on that waiting list. I'm not sure if we have spots open today as we're doing this or not, but the only way to find out is go to podhacker.com.
That's how you do it.
So yeah, we're doing more sponsorships. That's been cool. It's been effective. It's been a nice little boost in income from an area where we weren't getting much income from. So that's nice.
It's basically not a lot of work for. I mean, you're already freaking chatting in the microphone. You might as well spat out something. And the way that we do it is, we always kind of put a little lesson in there too. So that's what's actually kind of nice with sponsorships. And we recommend, having, I mean, if most sponsor, I would say the best sponsorships are just not the specific, you need to read this text, So, putting it out there as here's some examples of how I would read text. That's how, we basically kind of say this is how we do it. And it seems like it's always they're a little looser with the script, or they just give us a couple talking points. Cause I don't know. I feel like if it's just scripted, we had a LinkedIn one, it's just kind of boring. We had to spice it up a little bit, but they had all these restrictions and stuff. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, they always seem, I mean, this is, I feel like my experience with a lot of the sponsors is they seem like they're going to be strict when you start working with them. But then when you actually record the spots and get them in the episode, they're usually yeah, that's good.
For sure.
It's they want you to think they're going to be strict before you sign the contracts. And then once you're under contract with them, they're just yeah, just do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll keep reporting back any experience we have, but I would say if you try the sponsorship game out, or, if not that, try some affiliate marketing and kind of in place with sponsorships. A lot of folks are doing that well too.
Yeah. And then the last thing from this kind of segment, if you will, is YouTube.
Yeah.
Obviously we're doing this live stream on YouTube. If you've been on our email list for the past couple of weeks, you've seen us actually pointing some emails over to where you can watch videos on YouTube. We've been really, really, really honing in on YouTube and seeing some pretty significant growth. Jacob, who's on the call here, he's sort of heading up the YouTube agenda there. And it's been kicking butt lately.
Nice. We did a contest, which we actually need to pick a winner of. Let's do that today.
Okay.
I have the spreadsheet, so we can pick that winner. But that is, so if you're entered into that contest, that was running last week, I believe. And so we're trying to sprint to 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 715. So the sprint is to 1,000. We've been, studying a lot of YouTubers, people who have done this well, not only in the podcasting space, but
I just refreshed. We're at 717.
Woohoo!
So thank you, two of you. Thank you.
You rock. If there are any more of y'all who haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, just hit the little button and that little bell thing.
Yeah. Once you get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, it actually opens quite a bit of doors. We can turn on monetization. We can do what's called super chats, which allows, PodHacker customers only to be able to chat on YouTube, things like
priority chats, right?
Priority chat. Yeah. So we're looking to do some interesting, fun stuff on YouTube. We're not, we're not trying to get to monetization on YouTube because we're trying to make a killing on YouTube. From our understanding, once you pass that 1,000 subscriber threshold and you turn on monetization, YouTube just organically gives you more rank, because now that they could monetize your videos, they're going to get them in front of more people. So it seems like getting to the 1,000 subscriber threshold is kind of a grind, but once you get there, it actually gets a little bit easier because YouTube is going to prioritize you in the algorithms just slightly more once you're monetized. So that's the real goal, is just to kind of get more organic reach out of it. It's not so that we can go and, make millions off of ads. Although I would be happy if we were doing that. It's just not necessarily the goal.
Yeah. Baby steps. Hey, we got one more subscriber from that call out.
Good.
Thank you. Everyone counts.
He's calling me right now.
So answer it. Yeah,
it's Brad time. Spencer.
It's perfect time. Hey, yeah. Brad. Hey, you're interrupting our live stream. Love you, Brad. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing with I
know
YouTube,
who's not watching right now. Brad.
Exactly. Call him out. But yeah, I'd say the big thing is growth on YouTube. It's always been the reason why we want to focus on it. That was the whole thing of getting a studio and being in person here, a big piece of it. But definitely sprinting to 1,000 subscribers, I think, is super smart. I mean, it's been a grind for us because we actually had to work on it because this is the newer channel for us. Whereas like you look at some of these other channels, we have a Thrivecart YouTube channel. I have my personal profile. I'm sure you have a decent amount. Like I have 900 something subscribers on mine, but it's just from me having an account.
I have over 1,000 subscribers on mine, but my first video I ever posted on it was in 2011. My most recent video on it is from 2017. I believe.
You're rocking that creator life, Matt.
So yeah, I mean, I'm like 4 years back from my last video posting on that channel.
Yeah. So I don't know, the growth element, I would say, like you said, it seems like the YouTube platform will favor folks who have a decent following, hit that threshold. It just seems like from, these interviews we've heard from like with Noah Kagan interviewing Lewis Howes was a great one.
That was a great one.
We linked that in Pod News last week or this week.
PodHacker News.
PodHacker News.
Don't confuse it with Pod News.
PodHacker News. That's a different one.
Yeah. Pod News is where we get a lot of our news. PodHacker News is where we curate only the best of it.
Pod News is a good one. It's just a lot to go through. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff you honestly don't probably need unless you're super deep in the industry. But yes, that interview, we should definitely chat about that a little bit here because there were some good nuggets. Yeah,
before we do, just on the last like little YouTube, well, I guess that is also YouTube, but Jacob, what is a good video to show some of the sort of things we're experimenting with PodHacker videos? Because Jacob, he's been doing some real interesting stuff with some of our videos where he's like overlaying B-roll and he's he's getting more creative with the edits on our YouTube channel. So I wanted to ask Jacob which would be a good one, because maybe we could kind of show off some examples of some of the stuff we're experimenting with.
Ooh, do we want to also, like, while he's pulling that up, that Noah Kagan video? Remember that one that we were kind of using as like a reference? We both watched it and we're just like, that's what we want to do. Like, that's the style we want to replicate for our podcast.
I don't have that link handy.
Unless maybe, dang it. Yeah, it's somewhere in my Slack.
It's a really good video. Here, maybe I can.
Yeah.
Because I did share it in Slack the other day. Let's see, what did Jacob say? Oh, he gave us a link. So
sweet. Yeah, pop it up. Oh, I can, I'll pop it up.
I'm not sure which video that one is specifically.
Lisa. Oh, says, thanks, Joe and Matt. You learn a lot. Heck yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sue, for letting us know. Would not have seen that. Oh, man, Matt. Cloud Rainmaker. He said, hey, Matt, I was a buyer of what I believe was your first product, a learning to blog course. I forget the name. Still no blog, but I'm going to get that podcast going in the next couple of weeks. Hell yeah. That's cool. That was probably Learn to Blog then, right?
Yeah. Well, I had a business called Learn to Blog. It wasn't my first course. It was originally called the WordPress Classroom, and then it rebranded as Learn to Blog. That's
you awesome. Have you've been around, man.
Yeah. I exited that business in 2015, 6 years ago.
It's time, man. Time goes by.
That's
getting old. Aren't we all? Jacob, can you send that thing to me? Because for some reason, you went to direct to Matt. Shoot it over to me. I'm sharing the screen here.
Let's see. This was the first vid we had B-roll.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so this must be the Jamar one, I believe. Yeah.
Yes. One sec. Hold on. And Jacob, if you could find that Noah Kagan example video we sent you, I think that could be cool as well, because that's kind of what we're all aspiring to get to as well. All right, let's play this. I don't think we're gonna have audio though. Yeah, we're not. Nope, that's not gonna work. Sorry. This whole audio thing is probably not gonna work, but let's. So
I found the video that we're looking for here, though.
Sweet. Okay.
There should be a way to feed the audio back in through the Rodecaster, so everybody can hear it.
Oh, so that would have to be you then, because you're going through the Rodecaster for sharing.
Oh yeah. So we'd have to.
So I could stop and you could play it on your side.
Yeah, pull it into the chat, and then that should work. Or I guess it's already in the chat.
It's already in there for you. Yeah. All right, we got a couple videos for you. So let me preface this a little bit. Is like, this is our attempt to essentially take a a longer form episode, turn it into like a 10-minute or 6-minute clip here, throw some B-roll in there, some extra music. We're going to shoot for even a lot more than what you're probably going to see here, but this is already working much nicer.
I have to open system preferences and do a bunch of stuff because this is the first time we're trying to share using this new computer. But you guys are troopers for hanging in there with us while we figure out what the hell we're doing.
Oh,
well, that's not going to work.
Oh, crap. Okay. Zoom's saying you have to restart now.
Yeah, we're not restarting Zoom.
Not doing that. So let me share this really fast. We're not going to get audio. Let's just skip around, kind of keep it quick. So Jamar, a couple things I'll just say that we're working on is video quality. Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom video
does not give you great video.
Zoom compresses the hell out of the video. So that's an issue we're trying to work out, which is why we're probably not going to be doing many more podcasts using Zoom.
Yeah. So inside of here, I'm kind of looking for the B-roll here. Oh, there we go. Massaging. So he was talking about getting massaged and all that stuff. Jacob, I don't know where you're getting that B-roll, but I know, there was one that I know there's a really cheap place you can get B-roll, and it was on the tip of my tongue. I was just talking about it yesterday, but we'll figure out what that is later on. But nope. So that's I don't know. It's kind of crappy without any audio. I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, you can link it up.
Yeah, actually, can we throw that in the chat, Jacob?
Yeah, people can just open it in a new tab, and when we're done live streaming, you can watch that next.
Yeah, same with this Noah one. So just a couple different.
We want your attention all day long. When we're done live streaming, give us more attention.
So what you're looking at here, this is a Noah Kagan video that when Matt and I watched it, we're like, this is what we really want to get after with our episodes. So what you're looking at here, obviously a lot of titles, there's a lot of B-roll, and then boom, now you have this audio and video interview. But you can just see the B-roll is just like, it's every 5-7 seconds or so.
Yeah, it doesn't really stay on the interview for too long. It kind of jumps to B-roll to interview to B-roll to interview, and it's just so much more engaging to watch.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. So I'm noticing a lot of stuff here because you can see B-roll is actually sent by this guy, Matt, from his cars. I don't know how he did that. I think he's also a YouTuber, right? Yeah. So he's got video. No worries there. But that'd be kind of cool to get some B-roll from the guest, and then actually splice it in here, kind of create a little bit of a story arc, throw in some B-roll, titles, and sound effects and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool video or music happening too.
Yeah, if you can hear this right now, you're actually still hearing the interview. It's just there's overlaid footage.
Mm-hmm. So just think about like how much more engaging a podcast interview can be shown in this way. And like now you can see a lesson. Like this is one of the 11 lessons during this little clip here. It's a 10-minute clip, but I'm sure this interview is probably like 30 minutes to an hour. So that's kind of the concept that we're going for on YouTube, is really making these mini documentaries and upping up the production like this. So we're chatting with some video editors and Pexels. Okay.
Yeah. Pexels.com is a good one.
Pexels is good. I didn't know that.
And also Cloud Rainmaker said, speaking of getting old, Joe, that salt and pepper hair is looking nice.
Thank you.
The ladies like it.
My lady does. The others might as well. I don't hear it as much though, but thank you. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea behind YouTube, I would say, in a nutshell. Or like, if you check out the videos that we shared, get some ideas for yourself. If you're doing video podcasts, I mean, this is how we would recommend repurposing it. Obviously, it's going to take a lot more effort and some investment, but if you really want to grow and leverage YouTube, keep engagement, I think this kind of format is going to win. Yeah. But we'll keep you updated on how it goes for us.
And there's a really good site to get like sound effects and background music that I've been playing with called Epidemic Sound. So check that out. Yeah, they actually have like all sorts of background music, but then they also have sound effects. So if you need like a explosion sound, or like we've been saying we want to program these pads better to get like the wah 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 wah,
the DJ Khaled,
the DJ like wah wah wah.
Yeah, we gotta get a little
all that kind of stuff you could download over on Epidemic Sound, and they also sponsor a lot of YouTubers. So I bet we can get them as a sponsor.
Epidemic.
Just got to shout them out more.
I like it. Cool.
Although they'll never be a sponsor if I always shout them out for free. So
we got to just stop being so free.
That's the one.
We're counting. All right. What else do we have, Matt? I'm going to keep playing this because it's good video.
Well, now we can start popping into some of this news that's happening in the podcast world.
Popping some news. I'm going to remind y'all listening, watching, throw your any questions, thoughts in the chat, we're obviously going to get to them. We'll just randomly break out in the chat anytime we see something that we can talk about. So what are some news, Matt? I can pull some stuff up for us.
Yeah, let's start going through the list of news articles. I narrowed it down to about 6 items this month that I think are fairly interesting and noteworthy.
Too many.
Well,
just kidding.
You get 6.
Let's do it.
And then I have my whole section of interesting finds, which is like people giving advice on how to be a better podcaster. So
that's good stuff. All right, so
lots of good stuff left.
Strap in. Where do we want to start with Libsyn?
Yeah, let's just go down the list.
This is our buddy Trevor Smithlin. He I gotta share my screen. So we had a guy named Trevor Smithlin on the podcast probably like 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He runs a company called AdvertiseCast, and then we were looking through our news sources and we saw AdvertiseCast just got acquired by Libsyn. I was like, for 25 million in equity finance. I was like, damn, I love it. So I actually sent him, here's Trevor's name here. He spells it really cool.
He explained on the podcast that his parents couldn't decide whether they wanted to spell it O-R or E-R.
That's right. So they just dropped
the
letter.
Just dropped the vowel instead.
I love it. It was so cool. Yeah, I thought we were like misspelling it when we were writing. He's like, no, you can. But yeah, this guy, he was on our podcast. We have a link to his episode as well. Jacob Pursue, toss that in the chat. Really cool because we've stayed in contact with him, and I sent him a little congrats right after I read this, and he was like, dude, dreams do come true. How cool is this? And he actually said that part of the vetting process was these guys listening to our episode of him on our show. And he's like, you guys help me out. So thanks.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Another resource Jacob said was story blocks for videos.
Story blocks. Actually, you know what? That might be, let me see. I'm taking a look really fast. Yes. So these ones, I think they have different domains for the different, I think they rebranded, but yeah, Storyblocks is good. I've used this. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stock stuff out there now that's getting cheaper and cheaper because videos were so damn expensive. Like a few years ago, I was doing a lot of production, but now they're getting a lot more budget. And I think there's some free ones at like Pexels as well, .com. Pexels.com, not pexelsaswell.com. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Did you, what else? Okay. So
that was just, I found that interesting, not because it's like super noteworthy. I was just proud that we had him on our show.
Yeah. It's cool that we know a guy.
Libsyn.
Yeah. And AdvertiseCast. I mean, they're, so what with those guys and AdvertiseCast, we've never used them as because they broker sponsorships, I believe. I'm trying to remember actually. They're podcast advertising network. So I'm actually curious on how they're going to work with Libsyn, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Oh yeah. So hold on, let's pop this up really fast because this could give some ideas because you could actually sponsor other shows using their platform. That's what it was. So AdvertiseCast, essentially, if you're looking to advertise on other podcasts to, get another podcast audience to just translate over to your podcast, which are typically the best way to market a podcast. This is where you go. So you can either be an advertiser if you have like a brand or, podcaster and do that. So check it out. Dr. Phil's on there. So, trustworthy all the way.
So at the top where it says they're now part of Libsyn, learn more. Is it the same press release?
Possibly. Oh, no, I have not read this one, but we can check it out later.
Yeah.
June 7th. Yeah. So it was earlier this month.
Sweet.
Cool. So there you go. AdvertiseCast, they do it right, obviously. And if you're looking to advertise on other podcasts for growth, I mean, this is a way to go. We've done that. We just haven't done it through AdvertiseCast, but definitely a good way to scoop up more listeners if you find a relevant show.
For sure.
Cool. What else we got?
Is Clubhouse dying?
You tell me. I think so.
I think it is.
It's getting less I have some thoughts, but yeah, I do think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's an article that came out on Forbes basically saying that Clubhouse
got some issues.
Is basically dying already. Which is, when it comes to Clubhouse, I feel like when it first came out, we were talking about it And what I kept on saying about it is like it feels very much like Blab and Vine and Periscope and Meerkat and all of these other social media platforms that all the marketers were like, holy crap, this is the next big thing. Everybody get on it. Everybody needs to be paying attention. And then you get on it, and then like 6 weeks later, nobody's talking about it again.
Yeah.
Clubhouse, I feel like, lasted a little bit longer. I mean, I don't know. My memory's foggy on how long those other brands lasted, but Clubhouse, I think, stuck around for a little bit longer than I thought it would, but nobody talks about Clubhouse anymore. It's kind of like, it's just among the spheres, that the marketing spheres, it seems to have sort of faded. I think a lot of the startup people are kind of still on it, but
I don't know.
It feels like less people are talking about it these days.
It's definitely less trendy. Yeah. Like for a while it was the only game in town, but now we have Facebook pulling out stuff in the audio game. Spotify, which is another news thing we'll show you, they just dropped essentially, well, they acquired another audio platform that was more in the sports space, and that's now under the Spotify domain. So, and that's called Green Room, I believe. I tried that out the other day actually, and it was guess what? It looked a lot like Clubhouse.
Yeah.
It wasn't much different, but
Tano just said Spotify just launched Green Room. Clubhouse is going to die. That's actually what the next news thing we were going to talk about was Green Room.
Yeah.
But I don't think Green Room is going to stick around. The thing about Green Room though is Green Room is made by Spotify, who also does Anchor. It's like, I think that it's more created for content creators versus Clubhouse was more created to just like have conversations in groups.
Right. I think you're right there, because Green Room actually is interesting. Do I think it's going to be like, is it going to kill like all that stuff that people were saying about Clubhouse? Remember that was like, it's always like when you have this new thing, it's like death to pot or death to the thing that came before. It's like, really? No, probably not. But there might be some ways to leverage a platform like Clubhouse. Definitely, there's a lot of ways still, I'm guessing, we just haven't used it a lot, to make a name for yourself or connect with a bunch of people. Like, I don't think that's going away really anytime soon. But if it's going to be the play that you focus all your time on to grow your podcast, whatever, maybe, you know, but I think it's going to take a lot of time. That's kind of like what I was saying here. It's like productivity kind of goes down the drain a little bit when you're on these apps.
Yeah. I feel like Clubhouse, when it first came out, I was hot on it for like a couple weeks. I was in it a lot. There was a big FOMO element of like, oh, I got to be in this room. There's some big names in here speaking. But then it quickly shifted to almost like a burden feeling of like, man, I feel like I should be on Clubhouse all the time, but it just takes up so much of my attention and time. And then I just started like checking in less and less and less. And the next thing I know, it's been like 2 months since I've even opened the damn app.
For sure. I'm the same way. And yeah, we had a lot of friends that are like, we should start a room. Let's schedule this. Let's do it weekly. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do another thing weekly. Like, we got enough stuff going on weekly, but maybe this was where, because this, Clubhouse, people are creating these kind of channels and, getting a consistent schedule. So they're treating it a lot like podcasting or a YouTube channel and things like that. It's almost like just pick your lane though,
Yeah.
The Spotify, so this is Green Room that we're looking at here on the screen, some of the screenshots, and you can see if you're on Clubhouse, somewhat similar.
Yeah.
And these groups, you have these rooms, you kind of have the hallway, they call it in Clubhouse, where you just kind of can scroll and see what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you have a similar setup with how people are organized within a room. I used it one day just for like 10 minutes. And there were all these chats about, Clubhouse versus Green Room. It's Clubhouse dying. And people are like, man, I think they're both going to just be here. They have different uses, but like, actually the overwhelming amount of people on Green Room were saying they were still going to stay in Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Because their connections and network and all that stuff.
How long before somebody just builds an app where like you go on and you stream to all of them at the same time or something?
It's going to happen. An aggregator thing. Yeah.
But I feel like Green Room is more designed for creators. Clubhouse is more designed for like, these are my group of peers and I want to join a discussion with all of them right now.
Networking.
Yeah. And I mean, I know Clubhouse is moving more and more into that creator thing. I think they might even have some recording features, or they've talked about recording. I know they have monetization features now where you can like tip like good contributors, and you could have paid rooms and some of that kind of stuff. Maybe they don't have recording yet, but they've talked about being able to record.
And Green Room does have recording. So that's what's interesting around Spotify. Yeah, and it's still early days, but yeah, they do have recording capabilities. I've not actually recorded anything. It's just what I've read here. But the fact that it's integrated with Spotify they're doing some stuff with, I know they want to do monetization with creators.
Mhm.
So like you said, yeah, you could possibly use this as more of a creation platform if it's hooked into Spotify, which, all the numbers are showing that it's still going to overtake Apple in the podcast game, at least. I think they're saying this year, by the end of the year, in the US, at least. It is already in a lot of other countries.
Oh yeah, and I think it will, especially like
Mhm.
with all the companies, all of the biggest names in podcasting, they're swiping up and making exclusive to Spotify.
For
So if
sure.
you want to keep listening to some of your favorite podcasts, you kind of got to go to Spotify. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Spotify, I feel like what they're trying to do is make it so anything audio, you have one place you go.
Exactly.
Right? You want to listen to music, you go to Spotify. You want to listen to podcasts, you go to Spotify. You want to tune into one of these like jump in, jump out sort of chat sessions, you go to Spotify's green room, right? They're trying to make it so you have like this one platform where if you're getting in your car, you're going for a run, you're going to the gym, you want to put something audio on, you pull up Spotify because it's the only option. Everything's on Spotify. Right. I think that's what they're trying to do.
And I think their UI, because the UI ain't great for podcasts.
So
yeah, I actually have been using it more, but it's because of the Joe Rogans and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, but it's
you're
still
right.
Buggy. There's still a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Like for me, I run into issues where like I'll get halfway through a podcast episode and then I'll stop it. I'll get out of my car. I'll come back into my car and it'll want to start the episode over from the beginning. Like it didn't keep the time and little stuff. And it doesn't happen all the time, but little bugs like that just frustrate the hell out of me. And I don't run into those with things like Overcast.
For sure.
So
this is what's interesting. I wanted to highlight this actually is the spot. I don't think it's on our notes, but the Spotify Creator Fund, which this is where it gets kind of interesting. Obviously, we'll see how it plays out. But if you're on the Spotify platform and you're thinking about growing your podcast, maybe some other stuff with Green Room, I would check out the Spotify Creator Fund. And Jacob, I don't know if you can grab this link here. This is where folks can go apply. I can't click it for some reason. That's weird. I'll try to. Oh, it's because this was in the way. So this thing, you just I think it's kind of like YouTube monetization in a way. So, but we'll see. I mean, the whole idea is get registered and see what happens. It sounds like later in the summer, more things are going to roll out around this, but it's interesting that they are harnessing this creator kind of angle on Spotify as well, leading it with Green Room. But I think that's going to translate somehow into other audio that you might have on their platform as well.
Yeah. So let's see. Tano he's commenting on this. He said, mark my words, the next level of audio tech in podcasts is going to be live real-time phone-ins. That's where all of this is headed. I agree. I think like when it comes to Spotify, they have Anchor, which allows you to record the podcast, and then they'll have Green Room, which will allow this sort of real-time interaction. And I'm sure you're going to see those all merge where you your clubhouses your green rooms are just going to automatically turn into episodes in a Spotify feed.
I totally think so, man.
Let's see. Tano also said it's going to be guests being able to phone in from their mobile and get on air live. Platforms are going to vie for which is easier.
True. Yeah. And then the fact that this is integrated, obviously with the bigger Spotify platform.
Tano's just like ahead of us today. Spotify just bought exclusive rights to Call Her Daddy, an X-rated show for $20 million after being on air for only 3 years.
Yeah.
The buying game is in full force. It's funny because that was literally our next news article we were going to pull up was Spotify buying Call Her Daddy. Last month, they bought Dax Shepard's podcast. They bought Gimlet Media. They bought Joe Rogan. They're trying like, if there's a popular podcast that a lot of people like, Spotify wants it to be exclusive to them because they're trying to create that one and only platform that you go to for audio.
Yeah. And here, just for good measure, Tano, we had it locked up here. We're ready and you beat us to it. So this is Pod News. This is the other news destination if you want to get some daily hit of podcast news. They're great. It's just a lot. but yeah, it is impressive. It's crazy that's insane. 3 years in, 20 mil. And yeah, it's so cool. I don't know what they're looking for in their platform. I guess that's what would be interesting to know. It's like, what's Spotify's strategy here? Well, and who they're picking.
I mean, to me, it just seems like pretty much the most popular podcast in a category.
Well, here we go. They're the second most popular female created podcast globally on Spotify.
Well, and they also had that deal with Obama and was it Bruce Springsteen?
Really? Spotify does or
Yeah.
did? Oh, I didn't know that.
But Barack Obama has a podcast, and I want to say it's with Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Hold on, let me just make sure I'm saying this right. Barack Obama podcast.
Each episode offered.
It's called Renegades, Born in the USA with Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen. It's a Spotify exclusive.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, so they're just going for popularity. I mean, obviously you're getting like Miley Cyrus and all that stuff on here.
Yeah. So
Talking
I mean,
about, yeah.
they're basically trying to, exclusify all of the ones that are getting the attention right now.
That's cool. We don't need to be exclusive on Spotify to make this.
Though, if they came to us and said, "Hey, 20 million, would that do it?" We'd be like,
"Sure, why not?" I guess. Let me think about it. Oh, yes. Let's
Could he also throw in our Spotify account for free?
I mean, yeah, family plan, preferably. I don't want to hear all these Frozen soundtracks recommended to me when I'm driving alone.
Let it go.
I mean, I will finally, I guess. All right. What else
Barack's
do we have?
podcast.
Barack. Yeah. Throw any other. What are you finding interesting? Throw it in the chat. Engage with us a little bit here. We'll keep talking though.
Yes.
So we got podcasts.
Yeah, Call Her Daddy going exclusive to Spotify. We just talked about that.
Here we go. So let's start with this Apple one, and then we'll go to Facebook.
Yeah, we were talking about this last month, but it didn't become official until this month.
Correcto. Mundo. So, bam. Apple Podcast subscriptions are live and channels are live.
I actually don't know much about the channels aspect of it.
So what I understand is that it's like this. I guess we can just kind of learn through here, but it seems like it's either a media destination like, Los Angeles Times or
like NPR.
Where I think it can be like curated into a theme. I don't know if you have to be the creator of it or if you can like kind of combine stuff in your own channel. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, this is interesting.
But yeah, I mean, basically, Apple has been talking about a new subscription thing where podcasters can go and put some of their content behind a paywall and then subscribe straight through Apple. And I believe Apple takes like 15 to 30%.
I think it's probably 30.
I can't remember.
It's like their standard.
Well, because there was like 1% in year one and then a different percentage for the following years, but I don't remember.
Affiliates. I heard affiliates get paid only on the first year.
Yeah.
And then after that it drops off. So yeah, I'm sure the splits are like that somehow.
So, I mean, it opens up some really interesting growth strategies, like potential growth strategies, because now we can have a guest on Hustle and Flowchart. For example, we don't have any premium content on Apple yet. We might experiment with it, but let's say that we did. We can have a guest on the podcast. Let's just say we just had Trevor Smithlin on the podcast since his name's popped up. And Trevor Smithlin wants to go and promote the fact that he was on the podcast. He can now promote his episode with an affiliate link. And if somebody buys the premium content, he'll actually get a cut for promoting the podcast that he was on.
Yep. Yeah. In that sense, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And especially, so these are the channels it looks like. So yeah, they're like brands or media channels. I mean, hey, this is the power of building a platform, right? And we can have a PodHacker channel if we wanted to and repurpose things like this or other stuff,
Yeah.
What do we got? Tano's got something interesting, I'm sure.
He says, I use this term specifically. We'll just have to see how much Spotify censors the F out of the X shows.
Oh, yeah.
They've already reeled in
Joe Rogan.
I don't know, though. Like, Joe Rogan's talked about it on his podcast a few times, and he's claimed that Spotify has literally never given him any guidelines, ever told him any feedback, has ever specifically said he needs to stop talking about anything. So
I think the flack came in. There were a few episodes they did not list on Spotify. They actually pulled them from his library.
Yeah, there was some past episodes that didn't get transferred over to Spotify. And I think Joe addressed that on his show, and he's like, yeah, I think that was a fluke. I don't think they were censoring me. So I don't know. I honestly hope who knows what's going on behind the scenes there, but Joe Rogan claims on his show that Spotify has never approached him about that, has never asked him to tune anything down, has never told him what he could or couldn't talk about. Whether that's true or not, who knows? I'm not in the room where it happens.
We got to find the room, Matt. Got to break in that damn room, beat the door down, get in there. So new subscriptions and channels from Premiere Studios. So yeah, check this out. We got to learn a little bit more too. There's a lot of new stuff just getting slinged out here.
What I think is going to be interesting is like, is this going to harm things like Patreon's business model? You know,
I don't
because
know.
now people, because Patreon used to be the place where like, okay, if you want to support our podcast, go to our Patreon. If you support us with $5 a month, you know, we'll give you a shout out on an episode. You support us with $10 a month, we'll give you a t-shirt. You support us with $20 a month, you know, a t-shirt and sticker pack or whatever. Right now, people could essentially just do that straight on Apple, right?
Totally. Yeah.
But I don't know what details Apple passes back. So if you did want to like give them a t-shirt or something, are
like
you going to know who's a paid subscriber? Because, you know, Apple's been notoriously, you know, well, guarded when it comes to data, for sure. Right? Like, we don't know who listens to our podcast. We don't even have an accurate subscribers number. Like, it's always just a guess on how many people subscribe to the podcast. Apple doesn't share any data really. So like,
well, and they're the ones that really kicked off podcasting into the space, of course.
Yeah. So, but that's my question. If somebody
set the standard in a way,
if somebody was to subscribe to an Apple like subscription, like, okay, $5 a month and you get this bonus content from us, are we going to be able to see who subscribed to it, or is Apple going to hide all that data from us?
Got to test it and see. Yeah, no, that's a good
my
question.
Guess they don't give you the data.
I highly doubt it. And again, this is why I think we're always going to be proponents of writing, or not writing, but having our own system when it comes to monetization, leveraging platforms like this. Like, let's say we did grow a brand big enough to make it worth it. It's kind of like YouTube monetization. It's like, we're not going to throw all of our eggs in that basket, but we'll definitely leverage it once it makes sense for us.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we always are going to be looking at these platforms, because, man, things are changing so much. I mean, let's kick it over to Facebook now, because Facebook has something new that's releasing today, I believe.
Yeah, I think literally today.
I don't know if I don't know if everybody has the options or how that works, but let's pop this up here.
Yeah, Facebook launches. Actually, there's even more.
Is there
newer article? That one's from the 16th. It looks like.
Let's get the new one.
It looks like there's a today article. Yeah, here, let me pass this.
Slack that sucker to me. All right. Well, here's the teaser. Podcasts are coming to Facebook. And now we're going to get a new. Boom. All right. This is one that I have not yet seen, but it's from Facebook themselves.
This is today. Oh, yesterday.
Yeah. So live audio rooms and podcasts on Facebook. So what do we got? Facebook?
So live audio rooms is essentially their Clubhouse, right?
I think so. I'm trying to zoom.
So today we're rolling out live. We actually haven't read this article yet. This is a brand new one we're just seeing. So
that's part of the plan. Yeah. Social audio experiences. Yeah. This is the thing where you can, like, I think, have your phone open and it kind of basically produces really good looking audio or sounding audio right from your phone. Public figures and select Facebook groups in the US can create live audio rooms. Okay. So I'm sure they have some way that they're getting new people in there. And select podcasts. The coming week will expand the ability for more public figures and groups to do the live audio rooms and to testing. So you can join conversations. Yeah. So it is. Look at that.
Yeah. There's just like their knockoff of Clubhouse rolled out at the same time.
Dude, it's insane, man.
Has anybody in here played with any of this stuff on Facebook yet?
Yeah.
I mean, you would have had to do it within the last 24 hours, I guess. So probably not.
Yeah.
Let me see. What does Tano say? He says Apple itself as a company is horrible at direct marketing tactics. They're kings like Nike at braid sweeping brand marketing. So I would be surprised that they could even build a funnel for anything.
That's true. No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah. No, broad sweeping. Yeah. Groups, administrators. Yeah. So this is interesting. Pay attention to it. I don't know how to. I think they approach you maybe with the feature. It looks like.
Yeah, it seems like it's more of a rollout. Not everybody gets it.
I'm going to keep looking though. Maybe there's a special link.
Yeah, I'm just kind of interested in the Facebook stuff as a sort of discovery strategy. Is like
100%. I mean, look at this. Like, yeah, if you can have audio, it's almost like live streaming.
Well, yeah, and then I'm curious how ads will sync up to this. Like, can I post a full audio episode in here and then like boost it using ads to get it in front of, a more significant audience? Things like that'll be real interesting to see how it plays out. But it's obviously super, super early, and not a lot of people have had a chance to mess with it yet. So as we figure it out, though, I can guarantee we'll be sharing what's working and what's not working, and what we do with it.
Hold on, I'm trying to get down to here we go, podcasts. I wanted to see what they had here to start today. People can listen to podcasts while browsing Facebook via a mini player or full screen experience.
Oops, I need to share this link with Jacob,
including with their or phone display turned off. That's nice. People can listen to select podcast creators on their Facebook pages as well as on their news feed. Yeah, this is cool. Later in the summer, rolling out additional features like caption ability to. Yeah, see, this is cool. This whole short clips thing. I think they're going to make it really simple for people to just share a cool little tidbit from an episode.
I think we talked about this on last month's PodHacker. Was that Spotify just rolled something out that does that too?
It's great. I mean, these platforms, man, you got to be on them, but yeah, it's almost like don't be loyal to them unless you really have all your audience there, like a massive Facebook group or something like that. You'll probably have a big advantage. Live audio here, just see what they're doing here. I'm looking for looking ahead. Cool. Okay, well, doesn't look like there's anything other than that. Check it out. Tano's saying the number one thing all of us as show producers need to put into perspective is what is good for you versus what is good for their platforms. 100%. Those are very different in the way that in the way of tech and your ability to grow and make money, for sure. Yeah, and we had a chat about this on our podcast the other day, and with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now. That's bad. But we it was just one that we interviewed last week. Yes, I'm totally blanking on
Chris Parker, Archit.
Yes, it was at Archit Batlaw. Yeah, he was talking. Remember, we were talking about all these platforms, and it's kind of crazy because these platforms now have so much power. They have the power to like immediately bring in a new Tano. I gotta get at you. But like these platforms, you know, they have the ability to kind of just move the power around wherever the trends are, whatever feature sets, even if it's not their specialty. So they have their own agenda. And Tano, it's a very good point. Is that doesn't mean it's your agenda. Make sure you know what the heck you're doing before jumping in here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so everything else I have left on this agenda were just kind of cool articles that I found around the web that I thought would be kind of fun to share and review, because they were kind of tips about growth, tips about improving your intros, tips about the Himalaya story. That's kind of a gnarly story about this company that
I actually did not read the whole thing.
I skimmed it, so we can
let's chat about it really fast.
We can get all the details while we skim it here.
Well, here, let's pull it up, because Himalaya, this was very interesting. And well,
it's interesting to us because we were at a podcast conference and we got approached by this company Himalaya to I don't remember what they approached us about, but they wanted to work closer with us on our podcast and work with them in some way.
I'm interested in this video or this picture right here. I'm like, what is happening? Is this like a big podcast hangout or something? Pool party?
That looks like it's from The Sims.
Maybe.
I think that might be an image from the video game The Sims.
Interesting. It's their podcast. Like, this thing is a crazy podcast party. It's the hype house from hell. But yeah, we spoke at Podfest.
Yeah,
it was 2 years ago, I believe, 2018 or 19. It was 2019, I guess. Yeah, and it was right after one of the talks we had. It was one of the higher ups of this company came and approached us, gave our business card, and essentially was like, "Hey, we should chat." You know, we have this kind of private network thing, this big app, but it pays you. I forget their monetization structure at the time, but it seems like it was a big flop. And I'm very happy we didn't move forward with it. But what did you take from the skim that you already did?
Well, it was just interesting because this company Himalaya, they started up this podcast studio. They tried to recruit a bunch of podcasters, and then they went and had this like crazy party house where they brought people in and served them all sorts of drinks and had parties like going constantly. And but I guess they didn't, like, they claimed they raised $100 million, but they really didn't raise that money. And it's just like this crazy convoluted story.
And it was the promise of money. I remember that was a big thing.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just this kind of like, you read about it and these people started getting invited to these like Hollywood houses that you see on like a David Dobrik video kind of thing, and like
said that they were signing, or I don't know if they actually signed people like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
I don't think so. Yeah. So it was a lot of hype.
Yeah, they're just
Man.
making up shit basically.
It's crazy because yeah, Himalaya, and I think this is the Chinese the app there. It was called, yeah, that's how it was spelled there. But yeah, they sponsored Podfest.
They did.
They had like a full title sponsorship, so they were definitely tossing some cash around. But obviously, I'm not going to speak into too many specifics here. But this is, yeah, the fact that we were kind of right in the middle of it. We could have been invited to the Hype House, Matt.
Sounds like Dan Bilzerian. Kind of. Yeah, actually, that's a good
saw potential in backing independent creators. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because there's a lot of platforms out there that were kind of taking this approach, but they just approached it with oh wow. Yeah, with snakes, pythons at house parties.
Yeah.
Because that's how
it looks straight out of the TV show Silicon Valley. If you watch like first season when they were all throwing their parties with all of their like investment money that they raised.
Okay, I gotta read this. Yeah.
Yeah, like they were just throwing these big ass parties. With money that I don't actually remember how they got all the money. I think I skimmed over that part.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's just yeah, it's always a good time. Jeez.
That's funny.
Could have been there, man.
Man, that should have been us. We should have been partying with all these scammers.
Jesus, this thing keeps going. All right.
Yeah.
We'll leave that for you. It's in the chat.
Yeah.
For all.
Definitely read up on that. It's an interesting read, which I need to reread.
Actually,
all right. Yeah. So Tano was saying, speaking of news, have you guys started on the News Friday emails? I signed up but haven't received any yet. Well,
for sure.
The PodHacker news go out every Monday. And
it went out yesterday.
One went out yesterday and the last 3 Mondays prior to that. So you should, if not, maybe go to podhacker.com/news and opt in again, but you should be getting them on Mondays.
And Sue and Jacob here in the chat. So maybe they can ping here. You can ping them and maybe even throw that URL back to the PodHacker news place to sign up. We'll get you squared away, Tana.
So it's
I'm looking at some other stuff on chat and things. How to spend $1 million.
So that should be the link.
Let's just pop over to here. And again, if you got any questions, anything cool happening that we can talk about with you, let us know. Boom. Ear grabbing podcast and intro and outro. That is.
Let's see. Where's this one here? Okay, so you jumped.
It's right in the screen, my friend. Oh yeah, it bounced around. That's what I do. So let's see. Podcast intros, outros, just some cool tips. I think these are was this one that you had some specific things?
Yeah, I mean, basically this article, was there another one too? Yeah, so there was one. Yeah, I had these in an order. So the one right before it, get to the content quicker, amplify media.
Here you go. Bam.
So this one was all about like how if you watch Wheel of Fortune and you watch Jeopardy, like those shows basically start off like Wheel of Fortune starts off with the crowd yelling Wheel of Fortune, and then it goes, all right, let's get into it, and then the game starts. It's like within 30 seconds of the show starting, they're playing the game, right? And then the Jeopardy is basically saying the same thing. It's like they get on and then it's like, let's get into it, and he just starts playing, and he doesn't even introduce the guests until the game is going, right?
Like it's like during the game,
people have already answered some questions, and he's like, let's go meet our contestants, and then he starts talking, but it gets into the game immediately. And so like the whole idea behind this article is like, when it comes to content online, get to the content. Don't like waste all the time like doing all this pre stuff and like a lot of podcasts take like 5-10 minutes before they even get to the content. And this is basically saying just get to the content quicker. And then there was that other Captivate article, which was basically like, here's some tips on how to make your intros better. So they were kind of complementary
different
articles.
Yeah. So obviously grab attention immediately. We experiment with all sorts of different things and always doing that. But yeah, that's why we have like a cold opener.
Yeah.
That will kind of tease out. Let them know what they're listening to, set a tone, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like the way to go and where I'd eventually like to get with our show, but we haven't really got it honed in yet, is like 30 seconds, you're already in the content, right? Like that's where I'd love it to be. It's just like, hey, here's who we're talking today. Let's get into it. And then boom, you're in.
Yeah.
but it's difficult.
And obviously,
when you're trying to do
like
marketing,
sponsorships, or marketing, call to actions. It's almost like maybe that comes in. Maybe there's like a pre-roll, but it's actually in the episode, just a smidgen, but it's like creatively worked in there. Yeah, I think it's just a constant test.
Yeah,
see what's working.
Yeah, and then figure out how to get the sponsorships down to like 30 seconds.
Short. Yep.
Yeah. Like, anyway, all of this to say, like, the trend in podcasting is a lot of people have been sort of looking at the numbers and watching the retention, and they're seeing that when shows kind of take too long to get into the content, you get a lot of drop off before you ever make it to the content. So like, figure out how to just be like, here's what we're doing today, go. And then you're in. Yeah,
see, this is interesting right here. Yeah, because this is definitely a different idea than that other article that we just talked about. Where it's just jump right into it, because they're saying like, these are the things you definitely should do. Obviously your name, tell them what or who they're listening to, what they're listening to. Tagline, I mean, that's all kind of intro stuff. Yeah, the summary of the episode, address anything in business. I mean, this is kind of what we already do.
It does,
but it's like our flow currently, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, basically both of them are saying just get to it quick.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
Get straight in.
This is funny. This is something I remember from the video days, like, when you're talking to your audience.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, everyone. It's like, well, there's only one person listening at a time.
Yeah.
On the other side, even though there are a group of us hanging out.
But what if you like named your audience? What if it's like, hey, Fire Nation?
Well, that works.
Hey, Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighters.
That's what Andrew Warner says for his
Freedom Fighters. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know where that term comes from. That's what he says.
We still have never decided one for us.
Yeah.
I mean, PodHackers, obviously. What up, PodHacker? Yeah.
PodHackers makes sense.
But for this show, Hustle and Flow Chart. Yeah.
Hey, Flow Bees. Hey, Flow Bees.
Flow Bros. There we go.
Flow Bros.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool, but not everybody's a bro. What up, Flow Bros and gals? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
doesn't have.
We got to figure this out. All right, we're still mining.
What about ideas. Flow Fam? What up, Flow Fam?
Flow Fam. I like it.
I love fam is just such a I don't know. It's a cringe word to me.
Fam is?
What up, fam? Like, I don't know. It just seems
cringe word.
It just seems so like Instagram influencer to me.
True. I could see it.
Hey, fam.
Hey, fam. All right. So outro. I do want to go through this. So thank the listener for tuning in, and you're trying to build rapport. So you're trying to feel that. I mean, basically what I'm kind of like relating it to what we're currently doing. It's our outro stuff, It's that's kind of like our recap of the episode.
Cringe words are definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good cringe words out there.
I tried to stop saying ninja so much.
Ninja,
because that was one that I went to a lot. Like, dude, that is ninja.
It's a ninja strategy right there, bro. Nah. This is one that we definitely fail on often. We were good for a good stretch of time, and that's where most of our reviews came in and ratings. But definitely, if you're not shouting out and actually telling directly your folks, like, hey, go rate, review, and subscribe. And I'd like to, this is from Alex Mendozian. We've had him on the show. He tells people specifically on this episode that you're listening to, what is one takeaway? What's one big idea that you're going to run with, and tell me about it in the comments or the review. So the way that we do about it is we say, don't leave a review if it's under 5 stars. We don't want to hear from you. That's just, that's our choice. But definitely, putting that in there. What is this? Yeah, link to any kind of links, call to actions. Definitely want to do that, or sponsorship. And we sometimes will overwhelm with links, but I think if you do it in a fun way that makes sense, you can kind of pass.
We call ourselves out on that too. We're like, all right, we've given you too many links already.
But, we've
if we give you 5 links, most people are only going to go to 1. So go to everyone's most.
Go to one of them that speaks to you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with the outro, we can do a lot more of like the extra stuff, right? Like, here's some links to check out. Here's some housekeeping. Here's some news. Here's what's going on in our world. Here, like that stuff. I think a lot of people try to stuff it into the intro, and that takes away from getting to the content faster.
And we used to do that. Yeah. And we're like, okay, it's way too long. It was like a 10-15 minute intro, I think, after a while.
Yeah. But we'll work on that, and we'll work with Jacob, and we'll figure out a good flow. Cause I do think we could probably get it down to where it's like 2 minutes and then we're in.
Yeah. I think a big thing that, the first impression thing is one that counts, because something that we've always heard about, and if you listen to the podcast, we even try to take it away, is all the different beatboxes. I don't know which one we're playing, but like we use beatbox on the front, and a couple of the sponsors we were talking with just recently were like, oh my God, I really love the musical intros you have, or I love how casual you guys are with the music and all that. And it was always referencing the music, the beatboxing and all that. And that has become kind of, I guess, a signature thing that catches attention. It's the first impression, and we've tried to take it away.
Yeah, you remember what happened? We took it away one time for like 3 episodes, and on Facebook, people were like, "Bring back the old intro."
We're gonna burn our houses, our studio down. Like,
and the new intro was pretty killer. It's this.
Yeah.
But now we use this for YouTube videos, and we use this for audios.
See, I didn't even know that, but
we do video.
They're fun.
Audio. Anybody who listens,
jamming on them sound pads.
Bam! Well, that's how I mix.
Not mixing. This is fun.
Wiki.
Here he goes. You're gonna use some sound effects that are stock that everyone has.
Yes,
that's cool.
Anyway, I won't now that you called me
sassing you. Hey.
All right. So what did Tano say regarding timing and format of podcasts? Everyone is always gunning for being Joe Rogan, but after 100 years of radio and TV, there's a lot that can be taken from that business and cross it over.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of trend depth to be garnered.
Formatting exists for a big reason. Yeah. So Tano, tell us some of the ideas that you would take away, like some specifics on that. Kind of curious.
Sue Antonoro says that's lit.
That's lit.
That's EJ Noro, by the way.
EJ Noro, go hire him for all your sound and animation needs. He's our boy, and actually Sue's boy.
Yeah,
thank you, Sue.
Probably more Sue's boy than our boy.
I think so. Oh man, what else do we have on the docket? Or should we put a bow? Did we cover everything?
There's a couple more like cool little finds here. How to spend marketing dollars on a podcast. That was by Jack Reciter from Darknet Diaries.
Yeah.
But basically what he's saying in this article is that when it comes to like spending money on your podcast, spend it on improving quality over spending it on marketing. That's kind of like his big thing in here is like, if I had $50,000 to pump into a podcast, I would up my audio equipment, up my camera equipment, up my, basically up the quality of things.
And also kind of investing in yourself too, become a better storyteller, it looks like. Yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, masterclass. This is cool.
Yeah, so spend it on like improving your skill set and improving like the quality.
Find a podcast mentor, PodHacker. Paying there's a cool tool I actually want to show really fast on the editor side of things that some folks might be into. Pay for great content. Yeah, pay to improve your show artwork or website, your branding, basically. Yeah, I dig it. Hey, they got Pat Flynn on here. Go to conferences. Yep.
Pass out stickers. He's a big fan of stickers.
We got
he went to a conference that had 20,000 attendees. He brought 7,000 stickers and gave them all out in 2 days. That's impressive because we brought in 500 stickers and managed to not give them all out. Yeah, so that's really impressive
because they're in our pockets and our backpacks. We're not freaking. Dang, that's pretty cool.
Well, he was putting stickers on all the empty tables that he found around. That's cool. That's a good idea.
He would come back 5 minutes later. Yep. More stickers.
Yeah, we did actually. We were doing that at PodFest. We were putting stacks of stickers on the table.
Well, they were all kind of doing it, so we got lost in the mix.
That was kind of part of the problem. Is there was tables that had like 30 stacks of stickers on it.
Well, this is a good point because I was talking to Jamar John Johnson yesterday on his podcast, and he was
JJJ, Triple J, J cubed.
Sure, you'd probably like that.
Yeah.
So but he was talking about how there's just so many ways to get in front of different places just by you maybe sponsoring different events that a podcast might not be at, but maybe your target market is, or big brands. Like I think he sponsors some golf events, and there's a few other things that he's a part of as like nonprofits. This is in the fostering space, but he was talking about, he's like, hey, if you collaborate there, I mean, you have places like American Airlines, you have these big companies, and then you could have Hustle and Flowchart, and you're never like, the hell is Hustle and Flowchart? Oh, well, they're with the big boys here, American Airlines, all these other brands. It's like you can do that with anything with your own podcast. Well, another credibility just goes.
Another thing that we do, and we do it during Traffic and Conversion every year, is we put on our overtime event where we actually put on an event within an event, right? So overtime, what it is we go to a brewery and we put on a big networking event and we invite anybody that wants to come. and we actually get sponsors to pay for, any of the costs. Most of the costs just go to photography. We get a step and repeat banner, and then we end up buying a lot of people drinks. And that's pretty much where all the sponsorship money goes. Like, we don't pocket any of it.
Yeah.
But we have our big step and repeat banner, which has the Hustle and Flowchart branding on it, plus our sponsors branding. So everybody's getting pictures at these events. They're putting our branding in the background of their pictures. Everybody seems to know the event is like the Hustle and Flowchart Boys event. People call us the boys.
Boys.
We're men, damn it. We're men.
I want to be a man.
But we put on these overtime events during Traffic and Conversion Summit. We get 300 to 500 people out there, and by the end of them, pretty much everybody at the bar knows our names at least.
It's pretty rad. Here's a picture of the last one we did. So like that was a rad time. There was actually some of the one of the founders of PodFest actually was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot. I mean, this was all leveraging TNC, traffic and conversion. But if we go to that was the very first one we did.
Yeah.
Where is it? No, these are all cover images. That's the problem. But if we go, like right here. This is kind of like what we did with sponsorship money.
Yeah.
We plugged our face on some things, but we definitely, I don't need to look at all of our pictures, but
you can see everybody that was at the event that was getting photos. Our picture, our logo is in the background with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty damn cool, man.
The photographer wasn't that great. They don't know how to step and repeat. It's supposed to work, but
well, it's a little difficult when you got a freaking party going on.
That is true.
I mean, come on, you can't get good pictures. Like, come on, I think you did great.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
This is part of our.
Hey, wait, go back. That right there. That's a good picture.
These are our buddies. Yeah, but it's cool. So like our whole thing is we actually look at this. This just makes it look like, oh, big time. Look at it. We don't even know who these people are, and it's great. And if I actually know who these people are, then I feel really bad. But whole point is like, hey, we just basically leverage someone else's gathering, traffic and conversion. We other people in our crew, like Eric and Ginny over here and a few others, brew the beer at this brewery on a Wednesday where they normally don't have a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're able to promote our podcast and get a lot of new connections. And what do you know? We now have new listeners, and there's a lot of close-ups of, wow, look at this, Matt. We have some legit pictures of ourselves that we can be using. No, that's not ourselves.
I don't know that person.
I knew
that one. That was your sister.
It was my sister. Yeah. All right. So that's
we
cool.
lied. Nobody here is like actual like marketers. It's all just family members.
Buddy, look at it. I mean, come on, man. Like, we're doing it again this year, so I can't wait to do this again. Yeah. So if you're in San Diego or coming for traffic and conversion, you got to be a part of this.
Yeah, come to overtime.
And you can see
there was no overtime in 2020 for some reason.
I love that video. Hops.
Joe's got hops.
I got hops, yo.
All right, let's see. So Dwayne Moffat, what did he say here? Just got covered up for some reason. All right. I might have an opportunity to take over Sask Podcast Network, our province's local podcast network. Throwing an event would be a cool thing to announce the rebrand. Yeah. I would love to know more details about putting one of these together.
What do you want to know, my friend? And I mean, that's kind of what we were just talking about is kind of like how our thought process goes with these kind of events.
So I can add a little additional to it. So the way we do it is we go to this brewery in San Diego.
How much beer do I need? Yeah. a lot of
more
the better.
The way we do it is we go to a brewery in San Diego and we say, hey, can we throw a big party in your brewery on like a Tuesday night, a night that's like an off night for them anyway, right? So the brewery, we don't actually pay to rent the space. We just say, look, we'll bring in, 300 plus people in a single night on a night that would normally not be a busy night for you. If we do that, can we also bring in our banners and our photographer? And we actually named some beers after the sponsors. So Kartra was a sponsor. And I think we had Kartra CTR IPA kind of thing.
They're always like marketing nerdy. I mean, I guess this is our mission statement. I actually have not been to our website in a long time.
No.
Yeah. Believes in good beers and great minds.
Yeah. But yeah, so we don't actually rent a space. We just kind of go to a local brewery and say, hey, look, this is a night that it's going to be an off night for you anyway. Can we bring a lot of people out to this event? And they'll all pay for their own beers, right? And we get some sponsorship money. And what we do with some of the sponsorship money is we go and buy like a roll of raffle ticket kind of things. right? And we'll go and hand the raffle tickets out to people and say, here, this is a drink ticket. And then at the end of the night, we're just telling the bartender, anybody who uses this ticket, put it on our tab, right? And then at the end of the night, we just settle up with the tab, and whoever turned in tickets, we pay for those drinks. And those drink tickets are basically coming out of the sponsor money.
And this little video you're watching is actually us on a brew day 2 weeks prior to our podcast, our party. So yeah, Matt and I are pretty lazy and we never do the brewing, even though we enjoy it.
No, we just hang out and film videos while other people brew it
and drink beer that they've just brewed, or someone else brewed, I guess. But yeah, it takes like a couple weeks or so. But in terms of the beer amount that you should have this much. A lot. A whole brewery full of beer, I think, for any party ever. No, but this is what's really cool, is that we actually are able to, it's a big win-win, because we're bringing them business on a total off night. They allow us to brew on their system with their guidance, of course. But I mean, like, we have full access to the place, and it's such a beautiful venue. It's a really cool way to get a beautiful venue in a nice spot. It's downtown San Diego. So I mean, it's like money. And
it's walking distance from where traffic and conversion is. So the location was important aspect of getting people to come.
This is a cool, I mean, it's super shaky or whatever, but like, yeah, this is the brewer telling us about everything. So I don't know. It's just a fun experience. And for us, this is fun first. That's why we're doing this thing. And then we just include all of our friends. So I don't know. You can just kind of, a lot of people like the model. It works. We've done it for like 4 years now, I think. 3 years.
I mean, we've probably done 8 or 9 overtimes, but we've done it for 4 TNCs maybe.
So like, check out a brewery or any kind of bar or something that just might be like an off night. That might be a cool spot to do a little party. I mean, now is a good time to bring some people together, especially if a local kind of podcast, or if you can pair up with a bigger event that's bringing those kind of audience people into there. I mean, the way we market this event too, I mean, yeah, word of mouth, but really it's at the event itself. We'll just like drop flyers everywhere, almost like the stickers. And then that's how we fill the bad boy up.
Well, everybody who's come to the previous years seemed to know about it. So we'll get out to traffic and conversion, and people are like, you doing your party this year? And we're like, yep, same place.
It's got like this whole thing now.
So people actually come to us and ask if the party's happening, but then we also get flyers made. We'll use some of the sponsorship money to get like a stack of flyers made, and then we'll just hand them around at the event.
For sure.
So yeah, and it all kind of just falls together in the moment, really.
Kind of.
We got some more questions here.
Right, yeah, let's get back to it.
So Dwayne, we'll come back around to your sponsorship question. I want to read what Tano is saying here about his thoughts on the Joe Rogan thing. So he says, having shows that are all over the place in regards to length and content and guests works for him, Joe Rogan. Everyone else is a less than version of his show. It doesn't mean you can't go long. Lots of radio shows do, Leo Laporte and Dave Ramsey, but you got a format. Look at the success of John Lee Dumas. He's dry as shit as far as personality. You said it, not us. No diss, just really dry. But his formatting made him a success. I personally don't like his formatting, but his bank account sure does. No, I agree. I think he's figured out, like, you know exactly what you're getting when you tune into his show. It's going to be about 30 minutes. You know what questions he's going to ask. And it's just kind of the only variation is the person who's there that day.
Yeah,
and that works for him. But you see the same thing with John Lee Dumas. How many pop-up podcasts have shown up that are like, here are my 9 questions that I ask every single guest. They might be different questions, but they literally just steal the exact same formatting, and they're not nearly as good, and they don't seem to get the traction, and they go, well, I don't understand why.
For sure.
It's because you're trying to be John Lee Dumas. You're not trying to be the, you show.
And even JLD, John Lee Dumas, did say the reason why he has that format is because it was different. The whole thing is he wanted to break on scene. He wasn't an expert, but he realized, hey, I can do this daily when no one else is doing it. And that's his format that he chose. But yeah, if you just model someone else's format blindly, it's not typically the way to success.
Yeah. He says also, regarding radio shows, if you go back on archive.org or YouTube and look up old radio shows where they were dropping everything live, ads, sound effects, character voices, that's where we're at today with podcast shows.
Oh, that's sick.
That's true. Yeah.
Are there, Tano, are there any specific ones that come to mind that, I don't know, like, I guess radio shows, I don't know a lot of radio shows. We'd have to do digging, but whatever popular ones that might be in our space, like whatever space we're playing in, you can get some inspiration that way. That's a cool idea. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. There's a lot of radio shows. I'm thinking of the local one on Rock 105.3 we used to listen to,
the Mikey Show.
Yeah. And I think they're still going. They're just called something else now, but they had like 4 people, 5 people in a room every morning. And that thing was a blast to listen to, man. And they had, sound effects. They would cut to doing something, but it was all right there on the fly.
Yeah.
And
we're trying to do more and more with that. The part of the setup that we're building here is designed to be able to do everything on the fly and less in editing later. So that's honestly the goal. We're going to get multiple cameras. We're getting our ATEM switcher. We haven't actually got that stuff yet, but when we do, we're going to have like multiple camera angles that we switch on the fly, so we don't have to edit later. We're trying to do sound effects more on the fly with our sound pads here, like that. Which I don't know when we'd ever use that one, but we do use this one sometimes. But anyway, the whole idea is we're trying to do more of it live so we don't have to edit as much later.
Yeah, we just got to think it through a little bit more. But Tano, good perspective. I like the fact that, use archive.org. I think it's just a good resource for everything.
Yeah, and finding old videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually watch quite a bit of clips from like old Howard Stern shows.
Like the old ones?
Well, not
I know what you're looking at.
Like since he was on Exxon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, even those, if you look at them, some
in the
of them
90s
date back to like 2010, to stuff like that. So
sure.
Those have been around for a while too.
Oh yes.
All right. So Tano was saying those photos make you look like knowledge kings, just dropping the bombs on.
Oh, you were talking about the brewery stuff.
Yeah. Publicity footage is always an awesome thing. How much did your photographer and backdrop cost you? And did you actually put a red carpet under it? We should have, but we didn't. Also, did you do video as well? What was the total cost for the event? Total cost for the event, I'm not
It wasn't
sure.
much. So this is a couple things. So on let's see here, because I see that Dwayne, that is Dwayne on the chat, right, Matt?
This is Dwayne here.
Yeah. Because he's asking about sponsors and cold outreach and all that stuff. I guess it started with the sponsors for us. I think we only brought in like $1,500 or something in sponsorships on the last one, which was way more than we needed.
Yeah. And I would say like the breakdown of cost was we probably paid the photographer $200 for the night, maybe.
Like, so the photographer was budget. It was
Craigslist.
He was Craigslist. He was actually one that I think we used a couple times now.
Yeah.
But literally like the day before, I think we asked him, we're like, oh shit, we didn't get a freaking photographer yet. This is typically how it goes with these events.
Yeah.
We pulled together last minute. So just find a photographer online. I would say one that I think we picked someone that does events. So someone that's comfortable with like going in the crowd and like doing those kind of shots.
Yeah.
Obviously
people to pose and stuff.
Yeah. But don't pay for some super expensive photographer. You don't need that.
No. And I think the fact that we do it last minute is why we get them cheap. Cause it's somebody who didn't have anything going on that night. So cool. I'll come hang out at a brewery and make a couple $100.
100%. Yes. And I think we actually had 2 photographers. We had his girlfriend or something as well. And it was maybe $150.
And I mean, they're floating around with their like point and shoot. I don't even know if they have a freaking DSLR. Like they weren't like the highest budget photographers, but
we didn't care. Yeah. No video though. We did not get video.
The video, I mean, there was some video. It was just like, people with their iPhones shooting for social media and stuff.
I think next time though, maybe it'd be rad to get a couple maybe GoPros, do a like a time lapse. You could, because it's cool to see the people cycling in and out throughout the night, because we have like this kind of floating group. Yeah. So I think that'll be this year. We'll have to think about the AV a little bit more. I know we
try to get people to use like a hashtag. I think hashtag overtime brew is the one that we always use. But people don't. And so, but if you try to get them to use a hashtag, then you can kind of get on Instagram and stuff like that and find all the people talking about the thing.
Well, there's a couple of sponsorship questions I want to hit on really quick. Is in terms of like approaching sponsors, it was our network. It's always our network. So like Kartra, that's because we know AJ Roberts really well. I think he's basically running the show at Kartra these days. I mean, a few others, they were just people that essentially are just, we know that go to our parties already or at the event. We just asked them, hey, you want to get some publicity? You want to get in this banner? Want to sponsor a beer that we brew?
It was also Dwayne's question. So both Dwayne and Tawana were asking about how do we approach sponsors.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, so kind of cold outreach, but cold in the sense that they already know us and they know that we do these events. And
here's the thing about the overtime events too, is it's not just Joe and I think a lot of people like it.
We're the more public facing.
I think we're more the public facing. We're the ones that are most outspoken of it on social media and on our podcast and stuff. But there is like 4 other people. We got Dan Ryan. We got
Jenny
and Eric DeRose, and we have Mike Gibba
and I think
then
Jeremy Stallings.
Stallings.
Yeah, he kind of he doesn't really show up much, but he technically came up with the brand.
Yeah, Overtime was
Years
originally his brand, and he built the Overtime website. So
it's a Frankenstein, but yeah.
But yeah, so there's other people involved is the point. And I remember a couple years ago, we were walking around Traffic and Conversion Summit, and somebody handed us a flyer for Overtime
for our own event.
And we're like there's
who are
flyers floating around for Overtime. Where'd this come from? And it said Overtime sponsored by JV Zoo. So one of our other partners actually approached JV Zoo and talked him into sponsoring it. And we were out of the loop on that. So some of the sponsorships like are connections from some of the other guys that are just part of the Overtime crew.
I'm all about other people handing out the flyers though. Because let's be honest, that's something we're not bad at it. We just don't want to do that. When we're in the mix with people, we want to have a good conversation. We want to usually sit our asses in some bench that's away from the crowd. And then not typically be around a whole ton of people. But
all the sponsors we've had have just
get
been
them to pass them out for us. I know Karcher did that too. They're passing out stuff. I mean,
but they all basically, I mean, for the most part, I think the sponsors all approached us, right? Like Overtime kind of got to have
we hit up a couple. We kind of just gave them the idea.
Well, I think it was the type of thing where like one person came to us and said, like, I think it might have been Kartra came to us and said, hey, can I sponsor this? Or no, you know who it was? It was Wicked Reports.
Yes.
Wicked Reports came to us and asked if they could sponsor it. And we said, sure. They sponsored it. And then we started going to some other companies and said, Wicked Reports is a sponsor. Do you want in on it?
That's true. It always helps when you have a name.
Yeah.
And you have a buddy in there and they're like, oh, how much is it? And I think like we were charging $500.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't much, but it's enough for them to be like, okay, cool. Well, I think it got them like more drink tickets.
Yeah.
Like they can pass out more drink tickets to their team and their people. They have a branded beer. Maybe they're on the Step and Repeat banner.
Yeah.
We're thinking about a projector. So it's like, I mean, all this stuff is still within the budget of like the 1,500 we got. We had a surplus. So we threw it in ads.
I feel like every time we do an Overtime event, like we learned a little bit from the last one and do something a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to the sponsors, some of the other team members rounded up some of the sponsors. Some of the sponsors approached us. It was kind of
just take it how it comes, basically.
Yeah. All right. So what is Tano saying here? We're going to wrap up in just a couple minutes now. All right. So you got me going. For your next event, get a bunch of disposable cameras, cheap digital ones or analog, and get people to use them and then give them back to you at the end of the night. Yeah, like they do at the weddings. That's cool. Doesn't cost that much, but it makes people feel compelled to take photos for you.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I think that
I've been to some weddings like that, and that's always just a cool thing.
Well, I feel like people
like party shot.
I feel like people now try to do the same thing with like social media. Like, here, use this hashtag. But it's not
no
the
one
same.
does that crap. Yeah.
I feel like the fact that you can actually like review the photo on the phone sort of takes something away, right? Like you take it on your phone and go, I don't like that one.
Dude.
And then you're less likely to share it. Where if you're taking it on like these little disposable cameras, you snap, you shoot, you don't know what picture you just took. And it's kind of a big mystery later when you either get them developed or go and, load them online to look at them.
Who's going to be the one to filter through those pictures? You might see some.
Dan Ryan told us that he used to have a job where he had to like filter between what maybe I shouldn't talk about this because I don't know if he wants me to, but Dan Ryan's the perfect person to do that
developing
job.
Photos? Is that what he was doing?
No, he had a job online where he had to like sort through pictures and decide whether they were safe for work or
That's
not.
That's right. That's what it was. I wonder if there's like a newer age disposable camera now. Like I haven't
that just takes them digital.
Maybe that actually. I don't know. I know there's services that like actually give you iPhones and then but like we're not doing that. That's just too like I like this.
I'm talking like the little like ones that are like it almost look like a cardboard box.
The wind up,
They have the little windy on it. But I wonder there's got to be something like that now that like at the end of the night they're all digital and you just USB them into your computer.
Exactly, like a micro USB card or whatever.
Or even just like a hookup. Like you just use like just like the little whatever you call it, the lightning port to USB or whatever it is.
All right, Tano. You got us going now, my friend. So we'll look it up. If you have any suggestions on the disposable cameras, hook us up.
That's a good idea. Although I wonder how many disposable cameras just disappear by the end of the night.
I mean, a lot, but that's kind of part of the fun.
You're giving people beers and electronics.
I would say like leave them all at the bar. And you're like, when you're done with them, just freaking leave them at the bar, you know? And like, that's the centralized place, wherever your centralized place is, and then we'll just pick them up and we'll make sure, I don't know how we make sure people see them other than, I don't know. We can figure this out later.
I like the idea though. That's a rad idea. I think we'll probably actually do that. And Tano, you should come out to Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego. When is it? August?
September.
Yeah. In September, you should come out to that and we will be doing another overtime and you will see us doing that.
We have a booth there as well, actually, now that I think about it.
At TNC, we have a booth.
At TNC. So if you actually do end up going to traffic and conversion, we will have a booth there.
Probably for PodHacker at this point,
yes,
right?
Yeah. I mean, we were supposed to have a booth last year when they didn't have the TNC thing, so it's just been rolled over. But yeah, so if you actually go to that event, go grab your tickets, but definitely go hang out with us there. But we'll be permitting. I was gonna say pimping out. Actually, that was promoting, but pimping. Yeah, we're pimping out our event.
We're pro-pimping
the overtime event.
Pimp-moding.
I like that better.
Pimp-moding. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I don't know what we're doing at that booth.
Trademark.
Honestly, it's probably just not gonna be a lot of BS.
All right. Well,
having fun.
We are at 1:03 p.m. Pacific. We done did 2 hours.
We did 2 hours, and thank you for y'all hanging around. I know it was a long time, and hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
So
people are hanging out on YouTube. Well, they were. Now they all left.
It's been a long time. I don't blame them. So we'll do it again. When's the next? We have expert session in 2 weeks. We'll let you know if you're a PodHacker member.
Yeah,
keep
July
an eye out
13th.
for your emails.
Make sure July 13th, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's
Molly
where
Mahoney.
Molly Mahoney's joining us.
Yep. Learn all about streaming and probably a bunch of other stuff on social media engagement, because
we're
going to
learn about streaming. We clearly need
We will. Yes. So far, I'm very stoked that we actually made this YouTube thing work. So
yeah,
that's a first for us. Put her here, sir.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Claiming hands. I'm sorry.
Let us know in the comments on YouTube or in the Facebooks. What you
are the
thought
comments
of this? And I'm the only one left.
I think
drunk
you
guy
are
still dancing with the lights on.
I think you are. You are that guy.
No, it's
and
you
Dwayne.
and Dwayne. You and Dwayne.
You're dancing together with the lights on.
Disposable digital cameras. Let's see what's this about.
Thank you, Sue.
E-camera films. $25
per. No way. Maybe that's a packet.
Disposable digital camera with color LCD.
Oh, or buy memory cards. All right, Sue. Thank you very much. We're on the hunt now.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
They do exist.
Thank you very much. If you are not a PodHacker member yet, go to podhacker.com. Go join the email list, the waiting list, and then also get on PodHacker News at podhacker.com/news.
Yes.
That sends every week on Monday.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're doing more and more cool stuff on YouTube.
And smash the bell.
Smash that like button. Do the
whatever
stuff
the
that people
say.
normally tell you to do.
Outro music.
Go get that going and do the things that everybody says you're supposed to
Let's
do.
do all of those things and do all of those things right. And I'm going to end this stream right now. Bye.